the zero come from? Right. So now, so zero is one of them. If you have heard of a great philosopher called Nagarjuna, and he gave us a philosophy. The philosophy is called Shunyata. It's also known as Madhyamaka. And Shunyata is, what is Shunyata? No, Shunyata is not exactly emptiness. I mean, as we know in English, Shunyata is the emptiness of inherent existence. It comes from Buddha's original philosophy of Pratitya Samutpad. Yes, you're right, ma'am. So what Buddha says that the reality is empty of independent or inherent existence. So there is nothing in this world which has been independently created, not even God. God is also, there can be only God when you are there. There can be day when there is night. So it's that duality, and from there Buddha's, philosophy of, or his Four Noble Truths come. It's where the scientific reasoning begins. So that's one of them. But the second thing, many of you would have studied in universities. Where does the idea of a university come from? But what is a modern university? What makes a university university? So it's not really. Knowledge teaching is there. I mean, even a college has a knowledge and teaching. School has it. The academies of Greek, Greece had it. Greek, Plato had an academy. There were schools there, but we also had gurukuls. But universities are not simply, teaching and learning. University is defined by the key word in university is universal. And it is in Nalanda for the first time you have a written evidence, historic evidence of universal students coming from all across the known world, and teachers coming from all across the known world. In fact, Nagarjuna, who is considered the philosophical founder of Nalanda, his chief disciple, Aryadeva, was from Sri Lanka. And the universal, not only teachers and students, but the universal number of subjects being taught there. And the policy of universal admission, it was not that only Brahmins will enter the University of Nalanda. Nalanda Mahavihara had a policy where there was a Dwarpala Pandit, and anybody could go. It does not matter, you are, anybody, and you have to engage with the Dwarpala Pandit. And the success rate, as Swensang writes in his memoirs, that it was only 20 to 30%, 2 or 3 out of 10 would enter the university. So the idea of university itself, but not only this much, not universal, but the architectural plan of a modern university comes from Nalanda. If you go to the quads and visit Oxford and Cambridge today, if you see the quads and courts of Oxford and Cambridge, you will exactly find the courtyard plan which originates at Nalanda. You can see it for yourself. So, and how does it travel? It travels through Central Asia. Today what you call a college is actually, college comes from madarsa. And what is a madarsa? Madarsas are Buddhist viharas. So I was in Uzbekistan 2-3 weeks ago, and I was going to visit the Registan in Samarkand, and I was going to see the madarsa of Ulugh Beg. And before entering it, I was clearly, I had this sixth sense that this madrasa must have the courtyard plan. And what is a courtyard plan? Courtyard plan is like a courtyard. You have a courtyard, rectangular courtyard, and around this courtyard, you have the living cells for the monks or the students, or those who are studying. So if you go to Nalanda today, if you see the ruins of Nalanda Mahavihara, you will see there is a central courtyard and you will see all around it, there are cells, multi-storied cells actually. And as I had guessed, Ulugh Beg's madrasa has a courtyard and double stories, 2 stories, in Uzbekistan now. But madrasa, the idea of madrasa travels then to North Africa, and then Arab world, and then North Africa, and then to the West. So this is how the first college is in Paris, for example. It's called Collège des 18, or the College of 18, is only founded in 11th century. And Oxford, Cambridge, and in the University of Bologna, which is known as the oldest university in Europe, are not actually, they did not begin as universities. They began as universitas, which are completely different from the idea of a modern university. So this is all in this book. There is much more. Amazing. But these are some of the like the tip of the icebergs of Nalanda's contributions.
You spoke about some of the
our world.
Global impact, but now I want to draw you back, since we are at Himalayan Echoes, on the impact of Nalanda on the Himalayas as well, and on this region. Buddhist significance of it, and what else? And that's, of course, what makes this session special as well. The way that this festival is curated is every session or every speaker, I think every individual here has some connect with the mountains. So what is Nalanda's impact on the Himalayas as well, Abhijit?
Well, so, the form of Buddhism which is in the Himalayas today, it's mostly Vajrayana. Tibet, for example, Tibetan Buddhism is even in Nepal, and in this part of the world, the Buddhism which is practiced is known as Vajrayana Buddhism. But where does this Vajrayana Buddhism come from? And so you have to go back to Nalanda for that. So let me take you 2,600 years ago from now. This is the time, Gautam Siddharth is leaving Kapilavastu in Nepal. And he does not go to Himalayas. He goes to the most cosmopolitan city of that time, of 6th century BC, New York of that time, you can say. He goes to Rajagriha, the first capital of Magad, which is just 10 to 15 kilometers from Nalanda. And it's in Rajagriha he meets his first 5 disciples, whom he gives the first sermon in Sarnath. And Rajagriha at that time is full of philosophers. It does not have just Buddha himself, but it also has Niganthanath Putra, whom we know as Mahavira. It has Sanjay Belatiputta. It has Ajit Kesha Kambali. It has Makkali Gosal. All the great philosophers of 6th century BC. They are all in Rajagriha. Gautam Siddharth, he's not able, he meditates at Pandava's hill in Rajagriha, but he's not able to find the right path. So he moves to the banks of a very ancient city called Gaya. And on the banks of Niranjana river, he gets enlightenment. And from there, he moves to Sarnath, which is next to another ancient Indian city, Varanasi or Banaras, where he gives his first sermon, turning of the wheel, what we call the Dharma Chakra Pravartan. And then what does he do? He comes back to Rajagriha. He doesn't go to Taxila, for example, or any other place. He comes back to Rajagriha. Why does he do that? Because Rajagriha that time is the most powerful Mahajanpad of India. And if you want to spread your philosophy, you would like to have the king by your side. So he gets King Bimbisar by his side. King Bimbisar is shrewd and diplomatic. He, lets Buddha feel that he's a Buddhist, while for Jains, he's a Jain, and it's his son, actually, Azad Satru, who actually kills his father, assassinates him, and he becomes the next king of Magad. And it's during his son's Ajat Satru's time that Buddha passes away, and the first Buddhist council is held in Rajagriha. But what is interesting, here that in Rajgriha, Buddha meets two very interesting people from Nalanda, and they are known as Sariputra and Mogliaina. Any one of you have heard of him, Sariputra? So it's the Sariputra, Sariputra is, so once I was in Bihar and I was going to meet the governor, and I learned from his office that he's traveling to Thailand. So I was wondering what is he doing, what the Bihar's governor would do in Thailand, And they told me that, he has taken the remains of the holy relics of Sariputra and Mogliaina to Thailand. He's accompanying. And the remains are treated as a state guest, so a minister has to go, governor has to go, and they are received with proper protocol by a minister in that country where it travels. Being from Nalanda, I had no idea about Sariputra. Nobody had told me who Sariputra is. And Sariputra, when Buddha comes back to Rajgriha after Sarnath, Sariputra is the person he meets. Sariputra is elder than him. And he comes from a very established Brahmin family. And he's seeking enlightenment, and he has made a pact with his childhood friend Mogliaina to have that they will attain enlightenment together. And when he hears Buddha, he instantly feels that he is on the path of enlightenment. He achieves the first step of enlightenment, which is known as Sotapana in Pali, in Theravada Buddhism. And Buddha, he not only joins Buddha, but also gets 500 more disciples of his guru, Sanjay Belatiputta, to come and join Buddha. Buddha is mightily pleased, and he makes Sariputra his first chief male disciple. And his childhood friend, Mogliaina, his second chief male disciple. And 300 years later from this time, when Emperor Ashoka returns to Rajgriha from Patliputra, the capital of Magad has now shifted to Patliputra. And he raises a stupa for Sariputra. And today, when you go to Nalanda, which I told you in the beginning, what guides tell us that's the burnt library, that's actually the stupa of Sariputra. And stupa of Sariputra becomes the nucleus around which whole Nalanda University develops over a period of time.
Quickly, because, we had also have students here, and, we were talking about education at the start. What is the impact or the learnings of Nalanda that we can implement in our education even today in our country? You spoke about how Nalanda continues to stay relevant, and it's had, of course, a global impact, regional impact here too, of course, in Bihar and that area. But what about the education sector? What can we draw from that time into our education policies and, set up today?
Well, so Nalanda had interdisciplinary learning, and this has been adopted recently by NEP, the new education policy. So the students went to Nalanda not to study one subject, they went there for enlightenment. Nalanda was designed to push the boundaries of knowledge. So the teachers and students, they lived together. It had the greatest library of the first millennium CE, the greatest sutra library. To copy just one text of that sutra library, can you imagine what kind of library it had? Xuanzang, the Chinese traveler, traveled almost for 14 years to copy just one text called Yogacara Bhumi Sutra from Shangan, the then Chinese capital. And then he stayed at Nalanda for 5 years. Nalanda was also, so Nalanda was well equipped. It has a great library. These are some of the things which I think we can learn from today, that education should be a public good. Nalanda was supported by, a number of number of dynasties, from the Guptas to Harshvardhan to the Palas. They all supported Nalanda. So education as a public good, we must treat education, provide we could have digital Nalanda, for example, a resource available to all the students,
Any sort of civilization and any sort of big university also has a rapid rise. You've already delved upon, of course, some of the reasons why that rise happened. There's more, of course, in the book. But how did the decline happen? Just tell us a bit about what contributed to the decline. We're almost out of time, but I want to quickly delve on this as well.
Well, so Nalanda had, there was a declining royal pattern is by 11th century, because India was itself going through a period of tripartite struggle by the 10th century. You had the Palas in the east, you have the Rashtrakutas in the south, and Chauhans in the west. They're all fighting with each other, and India becomes politically, economically, militarily weak. By 12th century, you have the invasions happening from the northwest of India, and you have the Muhammad of Ghor, who is very ambitious. He defeats many Muslim rulers before he enters northwest of India, and he ultimately defeats in the second battle of Tarai, Prithviraj Chauhan. And he has three key generals. One of them you are familiar with, those who live in Delhi, is known as Qutubuddin Aibak. After his name, Qutub Minar is named. Founder of the Delhi Sultanate. The second key general is Bakhtiar Khalji, who travels east. And, there is a book, a Delhi-based historian, Minhaz-e-Shirazi. He writes about Bakhtiar's exploits in the east, and he gives a vivid description of Bakhtiar Khalji going to Odantapuri, which is another monastery, Buddhist monastery, next to Nalanda, just 10 kilometers from there, and destroying it completely, burning it down, and only with 200 horses. In fact, Bakhtiar was very ambitious. He wanted to control the trade, Tibetan trade, which was happening from Tibet, Tangan horses. These were very valuable horses, and he also tries to cross the Brahmaputra and go to Tibet, but his troops get flown away in the waters of Brahmaputra, and he's ultimately assassinated by his own second in command. So these are the key factors. India's weakening of political, economic, military weakening of India, invasions from the northwest, and also Buddhism becoming Tantric Buddhism, which becomes indistinguishable from Hinduism.
Okay.
And you have the Nath, the Naths, the Nath Sampradaya is the link between actually the Siddhas, the Mahasiddhas of Nalanda. Okay. You have Matsyendranath and also Gorakhnath, who are the links between, Okay. So slowly this Nath Sampradaya, which is actually a sect of Buddhism, becomes a sect of Hinduism.
Okay. Fatafat style, rapid fire style, you've heard these questions. As I said, if you want to, get more of your answers, it's all there in this book, and the book, of course, is available, and Abhijit will be happy to answer some of your other questions off the stage as well. But as I said, I started by talking about Bihar, and we've not mentioned as yet, and we will not either, the reason why Bihar is being talked about these days in the country. But, unfortunately, on television news these days, we're just talking about who's winning what and how many seats and who are the kingmakers, etc. But बिहार में और भी बहुत कुछ है. बिहार में जो खाना है वो बहुत खास है. बिहार का लिटरेचर, उस पे तो आपने एक अलग ही किताब लिख दी है अभय जी. What makes Bihari literature significant in 60 seconds, if you can tell us before we wrap up?
I think Bihar has a very rich diversity of literature, written in 10 languages. I've edited, in fact, a book called The Book of Bihari Literature, which has translations from Magahi, Maithili, Bhojpuri, Hindi, Urdu, Farsi, Sanskrit, Pali, Bajika, Angika, and so on. So I think, there is, in fact, here a book called The Fool Bahadur, which is my translation of first Maghi novel. It's story of a lawyer, a Mukhtar in British India. I think you should. It's a satire. It's a political satire. I think it's a book worth reading, as it feels that the book has been just written yesterday.
Lovely. Well, a fascinating session, of course, and such a pretty backdrop. I'm happy none of you looked behind and were looking only at us. So that means the conversation was also pretty and interesting and, of course, enriching. Okay, one last question. We just have time for one audience question. We'll ask a student. Since it's all about learning and education in Nalanda, जी एक student का सवाल ले लेते.
Hi, sir. My question is, did the students or the philosophers at Nalanda question or sort of revolted against the arbitrary ways of the society or religion at that time?
Sorry, once again, please.
Yeah. Did the students or the philosophers at Nalanda question or sort of revolted against the arbitrary ways of the society or religion at that time?
Well, Nalanda had this, a very established system of resolving any dispute through debate and discussion. So as Swen Sang writes, that in the whole history of Nalanda, there was not a single incidence of violence. All the disputes at Nalanda were resolved through the debate and discussion. The debate, they practiced a particular form of vad and sambad, and used recursive argument methods, in which you break the arguments into, sub-arguments, and then further into sub-arguments, and so on. And at Nalanda, there was not a single case of revolt in the sense that of, violent revolt.
Let's leave it at that. Thank you so much to all of you for being a very engaging audience. And thank you so much to Abhijit for a fascinating session. And once again, congratulations to the organizers of Himalayan Echoes for a fabulous 10th edition of the festival.
25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है. इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा.
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है.
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार.
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ. पॉलिसी बाजार. 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू.
25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है। इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ। पॉलिसी बाजार, 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
पच्चीस लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है। इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ। पॉलिसी बाजार, 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
All right, some breaking news coming in. Delhi police is tightening its grip on the Al Falah University. The crime branch has filed 2 separate FIRs, one for cheating, the other under forgery sections. A team from the crime branch is visiting the university's Okhla office today, issuing a notice and demanding crucial documents. The probe is intensifying on a daily basis. Bhavna Sisodia, my colleague, is joining us on the broadcast to give us more details about this. Bhavna, agar aap meri baat sun pa rahe hain, what more can you tell us about the agencies trying to figure out what exactly was the role of this university in facilitating and nurturing terrorism?
आपको बता दूं, जिस तरीके से सोमवार को एक धमाके से दिल्ली दहली थी, तो कहीं ना कहीं उसके बाद लगातार जांच एजेंसियां और दिल्ली पुलिस क्राइम ब्रांच स्पेशल सेल लगातार जो है इस पूरे मामले की जांच में जुट गए हैं। वहीं अगर बात की जाए अल्फला यूनिवर्सिटी को लेकर, तो अब दिल्ली पुलिस का शिकंजा भी जो है अल्फजा यूनिवर्सिटी के ऊपर कसता जा रहा है। दिल्ली पुलिस के क्राइम ब्रांच ने अल्फजा यूनिवर्सिटी के खिलाफ 2 अलग अलग FIR दर्ज की है। एक FIR चीटिंग की दर्ज की गई है, जबकि दूसरी FIR जो है फॉर्जरी की धाराओं में दर्ज की गई है। वहीं मैं आपको बता दूं कि अल्फजा यूनिवर्सिटी का जो ओखला स्थित ऑफिस है, आज क्राइम ब्रांच की टीम जो है उस दफ्तर पर भी पहुंची थी और वह अल्फजा यूनिवर्सिटी को एक नोटिस भी दिया गया जिसमें कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट यूनिवर्सिटी की तरफ से मांगे गए हैं। अब देखने वाली बात यही होगी, जिस तरीके से लगातार इस पूरे मामले को लेकर अल्फलाह यूनिवर्सिटी के ऊपर जिस तरीके से शिकंजा कसता जा रहा है और जिस तरीके से क्राइम ब्रांच ने नोटिस जारी कर कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट की मांग की है, तो क्या यूनिवर्सिटी जो है वो डॉक्यूमेंट सबमिट कराती है या फिर अब इस पूरे मामले से खुद को बचाती हुई नजर आती है?
चलिए, शुक्रिया इस जानकारी के लिए। Well, on 9th November and 10th, 2025, in the quiet industrial suburb of Faridabad's Dhuj, a joint team of Jammu and Kashmir police and local Haryana authorities executed a series of raids that would expose one of the most sophisticated terror networks India had seen in years. What they uncovered was not a hidden militant camp in the mountains, but a cache of explosives stashed in rented rooms by seemingly respectable professionals. At the heart of this haul was over 2,900 kilograms. Yes, you heard that right. Kilograms of ammonium nitrate, the volatile chemical that would later claim 9 lives in Srinagar's Nowgam police station. On the evening of 14th of November, a joint team assembled in a secured open yard behind Nowgam police station. The team included officers from the State Investigation Agency, forensic science laboratory experts, a Naib Tehsildar acting as executive magistrate, crime scene photographers and a couple of civilian helpers, one of them a local tailor. Their task was straightforward: draw samples from 360 kilograms of seized ammonium nitrate so that chemical analysis could conclusively link the material to the Red Fort blast. On the same night at exactly 11:20 p.m, a massive explosion tore through Nowgam police station on the southern outskirts of Srinagar. The blast was so powerful that it was heard more than 30 kilometers away. Here's a CCTV video from outside in a house in a nearby colony. You can see windows shuttering after the impact of the blast was hit. In fact, let's listen to it. Well, here's another video from the time of the blast. Well, though it's not colored footage, in the left side of your screens, you can see the massive fireball that erupted at the time of the blast. The fact that 360 kg of ammonium nitrate exploded at the site is in itself enough to prove the scale of the blast. The aftermath of this blast was tragic. 9 people died on the spot and 32 others were injured. Several others are battling for their lives in nearby hospitals in Srinagar. This was not a terror attack, it was a catastrophic accident involving explosives seized only days earlier in connection with the Red Fort bombing in Delhi. The 9 people who died were standing closest to the material. They included 4 police and SIA personnel, 2 FSL experts, the Naib Tehsildar, 1 photographer and the civilian tailor. Several others suffered critical blast injuries and burns. The station building partially collapsed. Nearby houses lost roofs and windows. For hours, rescue teams worked under floodlights, pulling colleagues and civilians from the rubble. The effect of the explosion, however, was not just restricted to one room. It destroyed the whole police station. And on your screens is the rubble that was left in the wake of the explosion. This is all that is left of the police station now. Several officials were present on the spot. They needed just a few grams for a laboratory confirmation. In fact, ammonium nitrate is supposed to be safe if you treat it gently. Keep it cool, keep it dry, keep fire and contaminants away. One spark, one moment of friction, one droplet of the wrong chemical, and the gentleness no longer exists. In a fraction of a second, all 360 kilograms detonated with a roar that rolled across the Kashmir Valley like artillery fire. Windows were shattered 30 kilometers away. A fireball punched into the night sky. 9 people vanished in the blast, evaporated. 4 police and SIA personnel, 2 FSL experts, the Tehsildar, 1 photographer and a tailor. Others were hurled through the air, limbs broken, skin burned, fighting for their lives in a hospital. A major hold that is being discussed is the Jammu and Kashmir Police's unawareness about the gravity of the situation. Ammonium nitrate, after all, is used to create fertilizers and when mixed with urea. Experts say that this explosive is new to India, so despite vigilance and safekeeping, keeping it in a police station without detonating it, as is a case of other regular explosives and AIDs, was not a good idea. Several reports soon emerged and curious if this explosion was really accidental or in fact deliberate. However, the Ministry of Home Affairs held a public briefing to talk in detail about the explosion, quashing all these rumors. Listen in.
As a part of standard and prescribed procedure, the recovered chemical and explosive samples were being forwarded for further forensic and chemical examination. Because of voluminous recovery, the said process was continuously attended for about last 2 days by following the standard operating procedure. Owing to unstable and sensitive nature of the recovery, it was being handled very carefully under the expert supervision. However, during the process, an accidental explosion took place at about 11:20 p.m. on 14th November, that is yesterday night. In this unfortunate accidental incident, 9 people have lost their lives, whereas 27 police personnel, 2 revenue officials and 3 civilians have received.
Well, Jammu and Kashmir's Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha laid a wreath and paid homage to the police personnel, government officials and a civilian who lost their lives in the blast near the Nowgam police station premises last night. He also offered the condolences to the families of the deceased. But any tribute will never fill the gaps in the hearts of the families of the deceased. On your screens is the family of the tailor who lost his life in this explosion. We must address the fact that 9 families will never get answers that bring their loved ones back. 9 flags will drape 9 coffins, and the same chemical that terrorists turned into a bomb has now claimed the lives of the officers who stopped them. The nation is asking hard questions. Why was such a huge quantity of explosives kept inside a police station in the middle of a crowded suburb? Why was sampling done late at night in an open yard instead of a remote demolition range? These 9 lives could have been saved with stricter protocols. This was the story of Nowgam explosion, a chapter that left a dent in the lives of 9 families. Well, let us talk about this with our guest. We will have Major Mohammad Ali Shah joining us momentarily, but we also have some breaking news coming in. But before that, let's take a break now. We'll be right back.
$25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
Welcome back. Well, the building you can see on your screens now is Al Falah University, located in Faridabad. This building has housed and educated one of North India's most notorious terror groups that were involved in the Red Fort terror blast in Delhi. These were a group of doctors who have been birthed by the university, who were actively involved in the Red Fort blast. Hello and welcome to another episode of Deep Dive, brought to you by NewsX. You're watching me, Vineet Malhotra. Today we are going to take a deeper look at this university and its students and their ties to the recent terror blast at the Red Fort. Well, there are 15 doctors who were in touch with Muzammil Shakil from Al Falah University itself, who have been suspected to be involved somehow in this case, and some of their licenses have also reportedly been seized. Call detailed records showed multiple conversations between Dr. Muzammil and several other doctors. When the agencies attempted to contact them, their phones have been found to be switched off and are untraceable. A team was sent to Al Falah University for questioning and found that most of these doctors were missing. Officials are now investigating to see whether the missing individuals have had any role in the planning or logistics of this blast. There have been many doctors who have been arrested, starting off with Dr. Muzammil Shakil. He is 35 years old and is from Koil village in Pulwama, Jammu and Kashmir. He previously worked at Al Falah Medical University in Faridabad. Muzammil Shakil was arrested on the 30th of October, which was before the blast, in connection with the terror module. His rented premises were raided by the police, and investigators say they seized huge quantities of explosive material, about 2,900 kg of ammonium nitrate, timers, remote controls, detonators from him. He allegedly played a key logistical role in the module. He handled storage and transport of explosives. And according to investigators, he conducted reconnaissance of the Red Fort area earlier for a planned attack. Dr. Adil Ahmed, rather, is a 31-year-old postgraduate specialist in internal medicine from Kazigund in Anantnag, Jammu and Kashmir, and has emerged as the central figure in the terror module linked to the November 10th Red Fort blast. He was a former senior resident at Government Medical College, Anantnag, rather completed his MBBS and MD before joining the college's internal medicine department, where colleagues described him as diligent but withdrawn. In March 2025, he moved to Saharanpur, Uttar Pradesh, first joining the V Brothers Hospital and later Famous Medicare, where police records show he earned about 5 lakh rupees a month and treated up to 50 patients daily. He lived in a rented 2-bedroom house in Bapu Vihar colony, keeping to himself except for the occasional late-night visitor, neighbors told the police, and according to investigators, this has been verified. He was arrested on the 6th of November from Famous Medicare Hospital during duty hours by a joint team of Jammu and Kashmir Police and UP Special Operations Group. During interrogation, he allegedly revealed a network spanning Delhi NCR, Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir, identifying other operatives including Dr. Shaheen Shahid, a brother, Dr. Pravez Ansari and Dr. Muzammil Shakil. A day after his arrest, police recovered an AK-47 rifle and ammunition from his GMC locker, prompting charges under the Arms Act. His disclosures led to police to raid in Faridabad on the 9th of November, where security forces found a godown rented under his instructions by Muzammil. These investigators found 350 kg of ammonium nitrate, 2 AK-47s, which is an assault rifle, 200 rounds with it, 20 electronic timers, detonators, and IED components, material capable of multiple large-scale attacks. Now, going on to Dr. Shaheen Shahid, 46 years of age, is a former medical lecturer from Lucknow who rose through academics as a meritorious student before becoming a senior faculty member in pharmacology. Originally from Kandhari Bazaar in Lucknow's Kesar Bagh, she completed her MBBS and MD from Allahabad, now Prayagraj, between 1996 and 2005, that is. She held positions at both Kanpur and Kannauj medical colleges over the years, known to be academically strong but personally reserved. She was also briefly married to ophthalmologist Dr. Zafar Hayat, but the couple divorced in 2015, after which she lived alone with limited contact with her family. After her transfer out of Kanpur, Dr. Shaheen later joined Al Falah University in Faridabad, Haryana, a move investigators now believe played a key role in her alleged radicalization. Sources say she came in contact with operatives linked to Jamaat-ul-Mominat, the newly created women's wing of Jaish-e-Mohammed, launched just last month. And according to preliminary probes, she became part of the recruitment network allegedly tasked with identifying educated women and motivating them to join the organization's activities. Officials say she maintained communication with a Pakistani-based handler, signaling her deeper involvement with the network. During her years in Prayagraj and later postings, she was known to keep to herself, a trait investigators now believe made her vulnerable to influence. Dr. Shaheen Shahid's arrest came after a massive crackdown on an interstate JEM module operating across Jammu and Kashmir, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. She was among 8 people taken into custody in connection with the 10th November Delhi car blast case. The breakthrough followed the recovery of 2,900 kilograms of explosives from Faridabad, a seizure that led security agencies to uncover a wider terror network linked to Jaish-e-Mohammed. Her suspected role in recruitment, her contacts with a foreign handler, and her alleged ties to Jamaat-ul-Mominat placed her firmly under the scanner. Investigators now say her activities and movements over the past few years indicate a deeper association with the group, prompting her arrest as part of the nationwide operations. The Uttar Pradesh Anti-Terrorism Squad, working with Jammu and Kashmir Police and Lucknow Police, also later arrested 41-year-old Lucknow-based doctor Pravez Ansari for his alleged role in the November 10th Red Fort car blast. Ansari is the younger brother of Dr. Shaheen Shahid, previously arrested in Faridabad for her involvement in the same terror network. And according to ATS officials, Ansari was suspected of managing key logistical and communication operations for the module behind the explosion. Ansari completed his MBBS in Lucknow in 2011 and MD in Agra in 2015, later joining a private university in Lucknow as a senior resident in July 2021. He abruptly resigned on the 6th of November, just a day before the arrest of Dr. Adil. Sajjad Malik, who was a Pulwama doctor and taken into custody on Tuesday for questioning, which brings the number of Kashmir-born doctors linked to the Delhi blast case to 4. It remained unclear whether Malik's detention was aimed at gathering information about his friend Umar or if he was also being held as a suspect in the broader terrorism conspiracy. Another doctor named Mushtaqim was reportedly detained by the NIA. He did his MBBS from China and was interning at Al Falah Medical University. He has a clear connection through this to the university. A doctor named Rehan Hayat was also reportedly detained in this case and worked at a private hospital. He had previously studied at Al Falah University, and 2 other doctors have also reportedly been detained. One namely being Dr. Arif Mir, who was from Kanpur and cardiologist. He was originally from Jammu and Kashmir. The other one who has reportedly been detained is Dr. Farooq from GS Medical College, Hapur. Even though the Al Falah University has denied allegations against itself and stated that they remain committed to education, we are witnessing greater scrutiny of the university. The people who studied and taught here. This place is at the center of the investigation in the Delhi blast, and skeletons continue to tumble out of its closets. Let's talk about this with Sumit Peer, senior political commentator, who's joining me at this point in time. Sumit, if you're going to ask me, what my reaction is after telling our viewers after this monologue as to how one is supposed to feel, where doctors are turning into terrorists, universities are turning into centers of creating modules to attack innocent civilians, it is going to send a shiver, a shudder down everyone's spine. These are the people who have taken an oath to protect life. These are the people that, other people trust with their lives in terms of the medicines they give, the treatments they in fact ask us to follow. What do you make of this startling discovery? And then the kind of operations that have been allowed to happen right under the very nose of the Al Falah University. There are 4 to 5 doctors who have been found in this cesspool. Do you think that the university has any credible prerogative to deny that they did not know what was going on?
Vinny, thank you for having me on your show. Your monologue was terrific. Question is brilliant. I think, it's like looking at the mirror and lying to yourself. That's what I look at it now. After the cat is out of the bag, this center, this university, what I look at is epicenter of Islamic terror and jihad. This is where the white collar jihad is being groomed and matured. This is what is the center of what we call as doctor jihad. This is the center of chemical jihad. That is what this university is. This all padhai likhai is all a camouflage. This has nothing to do with the reality.
Isn't that worrying, Sumit? Because earlier we were all discussing the notion that the people who are not educated in madrasas were the ones who were being radicalized. That completely throws that theory out of the window. Of course, I stand corrected considering the fact that 9/11 was done by educated people. Osama bin Laden was an engineer.
You nailed it, Farid. I mean, that's exactly I said. I'll use one sentence in Hindi to give it a flavor. भाई जब तक अनपढ़ थे पत्थरबाज थे पढ़ लिख गए बमबाज बन गए from a pattharbaz to bombaz you need that padai na. How could you get 3,000 kilograms of ammonium nitrate? How could you run this what we call as a starfish network where every module is independent of others and they're able to build such a network? This beneath what I look at it, Kashmir Jihad was initially a part of Kashmir and used to happen there. Now through these Chashma Charag of Naya Kashmir, what we call them, what we are told the Naya Kashmir, they have come out. They have spread their tentacles across the whole of India. Now they want to spill as much of blood across India as possible. And obviously, Hindu blood is on the target. But naturally, some Muslims will also die because bombs don't have religion. So that is what the idea is. The Kashmir Jihad has moved out of Kashmir, and this Al Falah, and there may be other Al Falah somewhere around there, has become the epicenter and breeding ground of that, which allows this jihad to be percolated through these white-collar doctors across the length and breadth of the country. Still, we don't know where 29 cars are, 28 cars are out of 32 they bought. we don't still know what were they going to do with it, this much of explosive, because for Delhi blast, if they had to do 6, they would need around 200 kilos. What was to be done with minus 2800 kilos? Where were they to be used? What was the bigger plan? Who are the more people involved in the racket? We already know a Dubai connection, we know a Turkey connection, we know Afghanistan connection, and more things are involved in. Today, we need, as we talk, 22 doctors are missing from Al Falah. 3 doctors have been picked up from that Mewat and Nu, which is another region which is shaping up like that. And there are so many ghettos which are shaping up like that. We have been talking about it, you and me, numerous times, and we have been telling that these are epicenters or tinder boxes of jihad which are brewing, and the Pakistan, the ISI and all, they are going to find new ways and means of doing jihad. And remember, Pada Likha jihadi is 1,000 times more dangerous than Unpad jihadi. What you rightly said, all the people who did 9/11, they came from plush Arab families, they were all literates. Osama bin Laden was an engineer, sir.
Was a billionaire.
Doctor. His father was a doctor, his grandfather was a professor.
And he was a billionaire, Sumit.
And a billionaire. And you know this, there was a professor from J&K called Afzal Hamsharminda.
So Sumit, you know when the FBI or the CIA or even the NIA is looking for offenders, or if they're looking for serial killers, there is a concept which was developed in the 70s by the FBI and the CIA, which was called profiling, and that was something which was adopted all across. It's followed in every country right now. What does this discovery do to that profiling mandate that these agencies have? Do they have to go back to the drawing board now?
They have to go back to the drawing board because jihad has become more sophisticated. The world is being taken over by Pada Likha jihadi. And you know, you have one jihadi called Julani who has become the president of Syria, and he's shaking hands with President Trump, and he was playing basketball with the Senate.
He's beheaded people himself.
Beheaded people himself. Bhai, ab aur kya bole? I mean, if that is the reality of the world, we have to go back to the drawing board. And honestly, I don't know, is this Naya Kashmir really working? Are these the Naya products of New Kashmir? You see, the problem I have is one.
So what does this also tell you about the mindset of the Kashmiri Muslim in Kashmir? What does that tell you?
That is a very dangerous mindset. They all come from South Kashmir. They are all from that radicalized world. Look, even after education, what is my apathy? You have put crores of taxpayers' money, your money, my money, and everybody watching this broadcast, their money to make a doctor. 3 to 5 crores is what government spends in making one doctor. With the oath that you are going to save lives, now we have these doctors who have been groomed and trained on our money, and they have become chemical jihadis. Now, if you look at the Red Fort explosion, now we are talking, always talking about this Umar was an expert bomb maker. He has mixed some TAPA, a chemical which he has mixed with ammonium nitrate, which mixes volatile and highly explosive. Now the Nowgam incident we had, again some chemicals were mixed into explosives. When they came in contact with the air, they exploded. Unfortunately, we lost 12-13 lives there. Now these jihadis after education have become more dangerous. Now they have a resolve to take Kashmir jihad to everywhere in the India and to spill as much of blood outside Kashmir.
Fair enough.
So the question is that, are we going on the right path? Is this what we wanted?
Fair enough.
Is this what we intended to do?
Right. Sumit, we have run out of time, but appreciate your thoughts on this. This is, of course, a grave concern that you have addressed, and of course, your perspective is always valuable. We take a short break. We'll be back.
$25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
Welcome back. An Indian Sikh woman named Sarabjit Kaur, 52 years of age, from Kapurthala in Punjab, reportedly went missing during a pilgrimage to Pakistan for Guru Nanak's Prakash Parv. She crossed into Pakistan on the 4th of November along with nearly 2,000 other Sikh pilgrims under a bilateral agreement, but didn't return when the group went back to India on the 13th of November. Documents that have now surfaced include an Islamic marriage contract in Urdu, which claims she converted to Islam, adopted the name Noor, and married a man named Nasir Hussain from Shekhupura near Lahore. She was previously divorced and has 2 sons. Her passport had been issued from Punjab's Muxar district, but immigration records claim she never formally exited Pakistan. Indian authorities, including Punjab police and the Indian mission, are now in touch with Pakistan to investigate her disappearance and the conversion claims. We'll also, in fact, talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the program is Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former diplomat. Mr. Harinder Singh Sikka, author and activist, also joins us on the show. Mr. Sumit Peer, senior political commentator, with us on the platform as well. And last but by no means the least, Nikhil Chandwani, author and influencer, also with us on the program. Ambassador Mukherjee, I'll begin with you. Well, what do you think happened over here? You know, I mean, this is the stuff of which, you know, Bollywood and Hollywood movies are made. You know, you go to Pakistan for a particular reason, you don't come back for no reason. What does this tell you, ma'am? What's to explain here? What do you think happened here, ma'am?
Well, clearly, since this lady had no previous relationship with this man from Pakistan, whom she allegedly converted to marry, to me it is a plain and simple case of abduction of a Sikh woman who had gone for pilgrimage, somehow got separated from her group because these pilgrimages which go are well organized and they are in groups always. They don't wander off alone. So somehow she must have got separated or missed her way or whatever and got abducted, got forcibly converted, which is, by the way, against the laws of Islam, forcible conversion, conversion by the sword, they used to call it in the medieval times, and then forcibly married to a man whom we know nothing about. Maybe he already has 2-3 wives, and maybe he intends to use her either as a sex slave or whatever. It's very, very disturbing. We would have to, I'm sure that our High Commissioner in Islamabad has already contacted through the Foreign Office in Islamabad, the local police authorities, and we would need to have a thorough investigation, and we would insist that this woman be returned to India. There, if she gives free and fair testimony that she is converted on her own, she is married this man of her own free will, when she is back in her own country, one could think of what next should be done. But to me, it is a clear and simple case of abduction. It has happened, unfortunately, also in Bangladesh to some Hindu Bengalis who had crossed for other reasons. Seems to be no reason why a devoted follower of the Sikh religion going to a famous pilgrimage where Guru Gobind Singh reportedly had, Guru Nanak had reportedly stayed, and which is revered by Sikhs all over the world. Why on earth should she go there, suddenly convert to Islam and marry a Pakistani? It makes no sense at all. So it's a clear case of abduction, and if this is what is happening, I'm afraid we would have to draw fresh rules by which we don't send any Sikh or Hindu woman on any pilgrimage inside Pakistan, because they are not safe at all. It's very dangerous, and and there is a local Sikh community also, I'm told, on that side of the border, and I'm sure that our High Commission must have got into touch with them, because they could also help us to find this missing woman and also to find out about her welfare. So it's very disturbing, Vineet.
Right,
and
ma'am.
to my knowledge, it has never ever happened before on this particular pilgrimage. I could be corrected by Sikka ji, but as far as I know, such a thing has never happened on this particular occasion.
So you go back as a Sikh woman to Pakistan and you don't come back as a Muslim. Nikhil, I'm going to come to you. This is an area, this is a realm that you have profoundly worked towards. You know, I keep seeing your videos on Instagram. This is a touchy topic that you know intimately. How does a 52-year-old woman, Sikh woman, go to Pakistan and vanish? And you know what comes out of it, Nikhil, is that she got married to a local man. Her name was changed to Noor. And this also brings up that important question that what's the messaging that's going to the people who are demanding Khalistan? Aren't they looking at the wrong country to feud with?
Absolutely, sir. Those Canadians and Australians who are demanding Khalistan because they think Hindus are their real enemies, they need to understand one thing absolutely clearly. Your greatest enemy is not India, not Hindus, not Bharat. Your greatest enemy is the Pakistani Islamist network that is abducting Sikh and Hindu girls, converting your daughters and selling them to the highest bidder. Let me be brutally honest tonight. What happened with Sarabjit Kaur, a 52-year-old Sikh pilgrim who went missing in Pakistan and suddenly converted and married a local man, is not an accident. It is the same old Pakistani formula. Abduct, convert, marry, silence the family, and create a narrative of free will and then sell those girls. This is what 50 to 60 Hindu, Sikh, and Christian girls in Pakistan face every single month, and this is the UN report I am talking about. Pakistan has turned minority girls, the Sikh and Hindu minority girls, they have turned it into a commodity, into a marketplace, and into a conversion factory. And some people who think India is the problem, arey bhai, look at the pattern in Pakistan. Hindu girls are picked from their homes, Sikh girls are picked from the Gurudwaras, Christian girls are picked from their schools. Their religion is erased overnight, their age is falsified, FIRs are blocked, and a nikah nama, whatever it is called, that Islamic letter is waved like a trophy. This is the real enemy, this is the real threat, and this is the real fight that Sikhs need to fight right now. The biggest conversion mafia in Pakistan, Mia Mittu, he has been turning these rackets for decades. His Barchundi Sharif shrine is called the Conversion Factory, and that's where this woman, Sarabjit Kaur, might be there. And this guy, he'll convert her, then there will be a sham marriage, and after a couple of months she'll be sold to a highest bidder. So this is it. Your fight is against that country where a Sikh pilgrim can vanish on a religious visit and suddenly appear as a new Islamic bride. Your fight is against those clerics who are rewriting your daughter's religion by force. Your fight is against the system that tells you your girl is converting willingly, with every piece of evidence that screams otherwise. And let me say this absolutely clearly tonight: if you care about the Sikh community, if you care about the Sikh women, if you truly care about your Panth, then your battle is with the Pakistan's Islamists. The safety of the daughters, the safety of the women is in the hand of us, and our greatest enemy are those bearded monsters who are there in Pakistan.
You're absolutely right about that. Mr. Sikha, what's your observation? What's happened over here? This is obviously a very, very dangerous situation. What were the circumstances under which this particular lady was converted? What was told to her? What was not told to her? What kind of leverage is the big question I want to know from you and understand from you. What kind of a leverage did these people have that they abducted her and managed to convert her?
What you've seen is the tip of the iceberg. There's much more to it. That Gurdwara, a holy place for Sikhs, is actually another money-making, money-minting factory for Khalistanis, I dare say. What is happening out there is far from safe. They are utilizing that Gurdwara for all kinds of activities. Those people, so-called Sikhs, maintaining the Gurdwara are far from Sikhs. They are because they speak Punjabi better than most of the Sikhs in India. All they need to do is put on a turban and they become Sikhs. And all kinds of reports are coming in that how they find ways and means to transport to start with drugs and all kind of informations and what have you, from that Gurdwara Kartarpur Sahib to Delhi, to back home and to and fro. The drones which are taking off, there's a report that those platforms are being used. The fault lies with India. The fault lies with so-called Gurdwara committees sitting in Punjab, and they kind of they turn a blind eye. Oh, hame isse kya? You know, they otherwise they go and hobnob with them and meet them and so on and so forth, and all kinds of exchanges happen. But when it comes to such kidnapping, why have we not heard from them? Why have they not gone and shouted and screamed? It's a rogue country, Pakistan. It's a military which is being controlled by a Maulvi turned army chief, Asim Munir. They are free to do what they like. They have no rules. There are two rules: one for the army and bureaucracy, and one for a common man. And if they kidnap something, it is part of Sharia. If they sell, buy halala, it's part of the Sharia. Forget Muslims in India who will even squeak. Oh, what have we done with so many Hindus and Sikh girls when kidnapped? Nothing. We are we are a joker in the entire pack if we are not seen as taking action. And that is a very sad state of affairs. Who are you going to talk to? The High Commissioner over there will talk to who? They're deaf and dumb. They will follow what army tells them. And this is a very sad state of affairs. It's a very risky place, that corridor, Kartarpur corridor. It is unsafe, and I think we need to take very severe action on this. Take it to the highest level, because this is not going to stop. And second, more important, the government needs to be seen to be doing so. Don't depend on Akal Takht and SGPC. They will not do it. You know, one of the finest, one of the most modern religion called Sikhism is controlled by fifth fail people. This is a sad affair. We are radicals now. Khalistanis are ruling out there. When Mr. Ajay Bisaria was the High Commissioner of Canada, the Khalistanis, 50% of which were Pakistanis, did a protest march against me for Nanak Shakir and Razi. And Ajay Bisaria said, "You become famous here." I said, "I should get a medallion." And no police was controlling them. Means they had become a threat to the High Commissioner at that time, Ajay Bisaria. So which world are we here? I don't understand this country, and I don't understand why can't we very severe on them. I totally fail to understand them. And the fault further lies with us. SGPC elections, long due, overdue, controlled by one another party called Sukhbir Singh Badal. They are not interested in all this. They are not in control of anything. They're all playing for money in-house. They have no time for nothing.
Okay,
I'm
all right.
sorry.
Okay, I see your point. Let me also bring in Sumit Peer into this conversation. Sumit, how are you looking at this incident? This is typical Pakistan, as is we know that the population of the minorities that existed at the time of partition is minuscule in nature today. Whatever was left behind has been converted, killed, or deported, or exiled to other countries. This exactly explains the pathology as well as the mindset of the Pakistanis. When you talk about Sikhism or Hinduism, or for that matter any other religion, you could be anyone. If you go to Pakistan, it's at your own peril. The mullahs and the preachers and the people who in fact want you to embrace their way of living will reign supreme, and that's exactly what happened to this woman.
Vinny, thank you for having me on your show. If you look at Pakistan, sir, it is nothing new. It's a very organized pattern. Look how it works. It's very simple. You find a girl, you find a woman. First of all, you rape the girl. The first thing they start with, a couple of people will rape her. Then a Molvi will come and now you have been raped. We have your videos, we have your everything. So sign this nikah naam or whatever they call it, whatever crap they call it. And there will be some bidder, what Sikha Sahib rightly said. There will be a bidder who will pay the money. We have seen those Hindu girls being married to 65-year-old men. There will be a bidder who will pay the highest price. She will be his fourth or fifth wife. People like Mia Mittu and all organize this at a mass level. Pakistani Rangers and commandos of SSG are protecting Mia Mittu, right? Around 100 of them. Now what happens is once you sign that nikah that is imposed on you, now if you go to a court, it's a very dichotomy. Now if you go to the court in front of a magistrate, you say, okay, did you do this marriage out of your own will or compulsion? You say, okay, own will. Okay, khatam, case khatam. You will say it was a compulsion. And when the magistrate will say, you want to walk out of this marriage? Yes, sir, I have not done this marriage, I want to walk out of this. Then you know what happens in Pakistan? Immediately blasphemy. And you know what happens to blasphemy victims? They never reach police station. They are killed on the road. So you've got two options. Either live with that 65-year-old man and be sexually harassed and a sexual slave for your whole life, or maybe all his friends and all, come and have a party. Sorry to use that word. Or if blasphemy is declared on you as per Pakistani law, you will not reach even the nearest police station. You will be slaughtered on the way, and there will be a mass
celebration.
Yeah, celebration. They will slaughter you on the way, and we have seen what have done to that Sri Lankan guy. They burned him in the petrol, and even some Muslims, if it's a blasphemy, they don't reach to the nearest police station. So the position is very difficult. If you have this so-called nikah nama, there is nothing you can do after that. Whatever you can do is before that. After that, nothing will do, because immediately it will qualify into blasphemy, and some mullah will give a fatwa. If you want to leave Islam, you are punishable by death as per the Islamic law. So this is what happens in Pakistan. It's a two-way sword. You cannot go out of that. This is abduction. This is forced conversion. This is why I know what is happening. There are people who believe in it, and they say that this Kartarpur corridor, more ISI was interested in starting this than we were interested. They wanted this to start because they know a lot of leverage will come through it. Now the onus is on us. We should not send our women there. We should send small people there, and we should tell them to be 101% careful. And Sikha Sahib made a very important point. It has been saying for years. The people so-called Sikhs managing it, they are not Sikhs. They are only disguised as Sikhs. वो पगड़ी लगाइए, दाढ़ी बनाइए. They are Muslim Punjabis who can speak Punjabi, and these guys are Sikhs. They have nothing to do with Sikh faith. They don't believe in Sikh faith, and this Gurdwara, unfortunately, has become a hunting ground for them. It is all managed by ISI, and who is person who is running the Pakistan is the son of a rabid mullah and a khud mullah jihadi called Asim Munir. He's the biggest terrorist in the world. He's Osama bin Laden in uniform. And when he's at the helm of affairs and he has got all the power by constitution, what do you expect? If they could pick up Nankana Saab's Granthi Ji's daughter from his home, if they could pick Hindu girls from colleges, schools and home, and this is what happens within a couple of hours. Who is protecting Mia Mittu? Mia Mittu Hagon. Why do you need 100 SSG commandos protecting me? Who the hell is he? Because he runs that, and Pakistani PM Imran Khan, Shahbaz, Nawaz Sharif, all have met him. It's not he's aligned to one part. That Maulana Dizal, Fazlur Rahman, all go and meet him. He's so powerful within the setup because wo karam Musalman bada raha hu. And this is the best way. He says, take away their girls. One, you will add to the Muslim, progeny, and secondly, these people cannot breed, because if there are no women left, how can they breed? How can they have more children? That is the mindset you are fighting. So it doesn't matter if you are a 15-year-old or a 52-year-old. They will look for you. They will hunt for you. If when they get a chance, they will do it. And what is rightly said, it is a celebration. When such things happen, they celebrate. Remember, I think, Vineet, when Virat Kohli set a double century, they went there, found a Kohli girl, unfortunately, and gang raped her. Is it not history? That's how they settle their scores. And with this blasphemy law in place, there is nothing you can do about it. Whatever we want, we can do. If we have to take the problem out, if you want to send a message, my style is take out that Mia Mittu out. If we can go and take that Mia Mittu out for good, that is the way you send a message. Because this rabid Jihadi Mullah Munir understands that language. For them, if you have a physics book, you know what is written outside the book? This is not as per Quran. This is not what Quran agrees. This is all some delusion. Koi pagal ho gaya jiske observations hai. This is a disclaimer on the every book. Then you study physics, then you study mathematics, and what would you have? You will only have those Mullah Munir kind of products. You will have those Hafiz Saids and people like that. What do you expect? Pakistan was made for something doing great. It was the eastern flank of Medina. That is the whole idea of Pakistan. Islamize this country or region, spread the Islam. It was not meant for science, physics, chemistry, economics, or any research or anything. No, Islamization. Still, Ghazwa Hind is the idea. And let me tell you, sir, They don't hate they don't hate India, they hate Hindus. They hate all Sikhs. There was a time they were hating Sikhs like anything. Bhutto on record has said कि भाई ये सिखों को हमारे आगे मत करना. They were scared of Sikhs. Now the highest bid, what our friend Nikhil here said, is for a Sikh girl. It's not a, we are not casting aspersions here. We need the highest bid is for a Sikh girl, followed by a Brahman girl, and eventually it goes, there's a rate list available there. And they go to the highest bidder. It's a trophy for them. So this unfortunate woman who might be 52 years old is a trophy for some rabid jihadi mullah and somebody living in Pakistan. And it is all facilitated by Pakistani administration. Can somebody in Pakistan reply me, why does this jihadi mullah, Mia Mittu, need 100 commandos for his protection? Who the hell is going to kill him? What the hell is he doing so important? He needs so many commandos.
Okay.
It's the reality of Pakistan, sir.
All right, Ambassador Mukherjee, what can the government do at this point in time? I'm sure this citizen of India is in distress.
Well, as I said before, we would have to work with the local authorities, and Sumit is right, they may not cooperate with us. We would have to work with the local Sikhs there, and Sikka ji has just informed us that they may not be real Sikhs. Just because they speak really good Punjabi, they can be disguised as Sikhs. The same thing would apply in Bengal. Any of us can cross over and pretend to be a Bangladeshi. I can pretend to be a Bangladeshi, because I speak the same language with the same accent and the same that. So this is something very distressing. In my opinion, we should immediately shut down the Kartarpur corridor immediately for everyone, men and women, and then we should tell the Pakistanis that a religious place highly revered by Sikhs is being misutilized in this manner, and we should take up this case with the UN, with the High Commission for Human Rights, with the special envoy with regard to religious intolerance in Geneva, and we should give it high publicity in all the Western media outlets, which include, Economist, Washington Post, etc., New York Times, etc. That hurts them much more. And we should, through our channels, we now have an American ambassador here. We should tell the American ambassador here and our ambassador in Washington, we should bring this to the attention of the highest authorities in Washington, since Pakistan is a client state of Washington, and has actually, the field marshal has sold his country to Trump for money with the rare earths, etc. This is not a sovereign country. This is a country which is virtually colonized by the Americans. So we should tell their colonial masters, the United States, that we want our citizen back, and that since he loves to solve disputes, President Trump, we should tell him that we are going to resort to massive retaliation, not just because of the car blast in Delhi, where there is a clear JEM hand, that now they've started abducting our women. This is against the honor of the country, and we will retaliate massively. Since he wants a Nobel Peace Prize, he will then bring up the field marshal and tell the field marshal to return our citizen to us. I think I can't think of anything else that would work.
Fair enough, ma'am. You're absolutely right, and that's exactly what the need of the hour is. We have run out of time, but appreciate everyone's perspective and point of view in this very sensitive matter, and hoping to bring back this citizen of ours in one piece. We take a short break. We'll be right back.
$25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
Gujarat is a driving engine of India's industrial ambition. Its vision is bold: to accelerate economic growth to $500 billion by FY 2026-27 and to reach $1 trillion by 2030. Today, Gujarat contributes 8.2% of India's GDP. Gujarat accounts for nearly 18% of India's industrial output and a massive 27% share in India's total exports. This foundation is built on robust growth with the manufacturing sector contributing a commanding 34.6% to the state's gross value added. This unparalleled success is a result of consistent vision and policy, empowering several key industrial pillars.
गुजरात की इस विकास यात्रा की शुरुआत तब हुई जब मुख्यमंत्री के तौर पर श्री मोदी साहब ने 2003 में वाइब्रेंट गुजरात ग्लोबल समिट जैसे गेम चेंजर आइडिया दिया। मोदी साहब ने तब कहा था कि यह समिट गुजरात को ग्लोबल इंडस्ट्रियल मैप पर मोस्ट प्रिफर्ड डेस्टिनेशन फॉर इन्वेस्टमेंट बनाएगी। पिछले 20 सालों में इस इन्वेस्टमेंट ने कैसे गुजरात को आर्थिक और सामाजिक दृष्टि से केवल बदल कर रख दिया है, इसके आप सब साक्षी हैं। इस समिट की सफलता के कारण ही आज गुजरात भारत के मोस्ट इंडस्ट्रियलाइज्ड और अर्बनाइज्ड स्टेट्स में एक हैं।
Gujarat is the undisputed leader in chemicals and petrochemicals. The sector accounts for 33% of India's output and a commanding 59% share in India's exports of chemical products. It hosts India's first petroleum, chemicals and petrochemicals investment region in Dahej, which also features India's first chemical port. Gujarat is a global hub for pharmaceuticals. This industry contributes 16% to India's pharmaceutical output and holds a 19.2% share in national exports. The state is home to over 150 US FDA-approved units and significantly the world's first and only WHO Global Center for Traditional Medicine in Jamnagar. Gujarat dominates specialized manufacturing. The Morbi region is the world's second largest ceramics manufacturing zone, accounting for 90% of India's domestic market share and 85% of India's ceramics exports. Gujarat is the global processing powerhouse for diamonds. 72% of the world's processed diamonds are handled here, with 8 out of 10 diamonds polished in the state. This is supported by the world-class infrastructure like the Surat Diamond Bourse and the Dream City project. Gujarat's textile sector accounts for 24% of India's textile manufacturing output. Meanwhile, the auto and auto component industry is emerging strongly, with Gujarat rapidly transitioning into the EV hub of India, supported by major global automobile companies in the Mandal Becharji Special Investment Region.
भारत की मेक इन इंडिया इस यात्रा में एक नया अध्याय जुड़ रहा है। आज से भारत में बने इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स 100 देशों को एक्सपोर्ट किए जाएंगे।
Gujarat's leadership is secured by future-ready projects. Gujarat hosts India's first International Financial Services Centre, or the GIFT City, and India's largest greenfield special investment region, the Dholera Special Investment Region. Critically, 38% of the dedicated freight corridor passes through Gujarat, linking its ports to the national hinterland. And in its commitment to green growth, Gujarat is developing the world's largest 37-megawatt wind solar hybrid park in Kutch. With its robust industrial pillars, pioneering policies and mega projects, Gujarat is solidifying its position as the growth engine of India, ready to meet the economic demands of the coming decades.
वो वाली MDH की सुपर
जिन्होंने यूज किया है वो जानते हैं असली हींग का स्वाद।
MDH सुपर हींग, शुद्धता का असली तड़का।
असली मसाले सच सच MDH 25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
MDH का किचन किंग किचन में हो तो हम सब कुछ बना सकते हैं। बैंगन का भरता, आलू गोभी, भिंडी मसाला और भी बहुत कुछ।
MDH
Well, in a tragic incident in Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir, an accidental explosion at Nowgam police station late Friday night has claimed 9 lives and injured 32 others. The blast occurred around 11:20 p.m. while a joint team of police and forensic experts was extracting samples from a large cache of unstable explosives seized from Faridabad, Haryana, as part of an ongoing investigation into a terror module linked to Jaish-e-Mohammed, threat posters and the Red Fort blast case. And amongst the deceased are 1 state investigation agency personnel, 3 forensic science laboratory members, 2 police crime branch photographers, 2 revenue officials and 1 civilian tailor associated with the team. The injured include 27 police personnel, 2 revenue officials and 3 civilians from nearby areas, all receiving treatment at local hospitals. Jammu and Kashmir Police Chief Nalin Prabhat has confirmed the explosion was accidental with no terror involvement and a probe is underway, is what we are learning at this point in time. And following the blast, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah has announced that the state government will compensate for damages caused to nearby structures by the accidental blast at Nowgam police station. Abdullah said that the government stands firmly with the victims' families and will provide them with every possible support. Remember, the Nowgam blast claimed lives of 9 people. Ajay Jandyal, my colleague, joins us on the broadcast to talk more about this. Ajay, this has been extremely sad and extremely tragic. What the fundamentals were of handling this kind of a volatile material is something that we don't know whether the people around it were aware of or not. What can you tell us?
Some lapses, I think, I believe that must have happened. That's why that led to the this massive blast and which took casual, life of 9 people. But no doubt that it's a matter of investigation as well there, because the inquiry also has been initiated. But the way basically this incident happened, that indicates that it was something new which basically haven't seen by the authorities here in the Jammu and Kashmir as well. That was brought here in Nowgam police station since it was a case which was investigated by the Nowgam police after Dr. Adil was arrested, and then other doctors were arrested, and recovery was made from the Faridabad, and it was taken to Faridabad. From Faridabad to Nowgam, where investigation was going on, and when FSL team was collecting the sample that ID triggered and which led to casualty of 9 people and injuries to more than 30 people. And definitely it's a painful moment and very tragic as well. But inquiry is going on, and definitely inquiry will clear that what exactly had happened in this matter. But yes, the team who was investigating this matter, they have done a commendable job, because the white collar terrorism which Pakistan was trying to spread in the country, and by activating them in a different part of the country, in the northern region, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, and even Punjab as well, because today one doctor from Punjab is also detained for the questioning by the police. So that clearly indicates that it is a commendable job by the Jammu and Kashmir police, who basically was trying to investigate the matter, and definitely, hopefully, they have foiled number of attempts of enemy in the Pakistan, those who wanted to disturb peace in the country.
Right. Well, following the blast at Nowgam police station, JKNC President Farooq Abdullah asked, when will terror end? Taking to social media, the former minister stated, and I quote, when will all this end? The centre had abrogated Article 370, but now it has been clarified that Article 370 is not responsible for it. We were never with terrorism and will never be. We don't want all this. We want peace, Abdullah said. Ajay Jandyal, of course, a valid question from Mr. Abdullah, saying that Article 370 and the reason why it was implemented or abrogated was to curb the menace of terrorism. But it seems to be growing, from different societal tangents, and, educated people now, doctors are seemingly involved in what happened in Delhi.
Yes, after this network of doctors who basically white collar job and was involved in the terror related activities and actively, they were planning some major attacks in the country. So after this this is exposed by the authorities, definitely opposition got a chance to hit out at the union government, because when abrogation of 370 was done, they say that things, 370 was the major hurdle as far as the terrorism and other development projects was going on in the Jammu and Kashmir. That was not basically taking place. But after abrogation, one has to see that how many terror activities has happened before the abrogation of 370 and after the abrogation of 370. So that is the only criteria by which you can measure that it was better earlier or it is better now. No doubt that this incident of explosion which took place in Delhi and involvement of the educated doctors, those who are part of this terror nexus, definitely is a matter of concern for the authorities. So till the investigation, not completed, it will be tough for anyone to, tell that what exactly was right. It was earlier better or now better. No doubt that political parties have to do the politics, and that is what it seems that Farooq Abdullah wanted to do.
Right, Jammu and Kashmir Deputy Chief Minister Surendra Chaudhary called for a high-level investigation into the tragic blast at Nowgam police station in Srinagar that killed 9 and injured 32, noting that repeated acts of violence continue to trouble the Union territory even decades after terrorism first emerged in the region. He said all the political parties should come together to stand up against terrorism so that the people in Jammu and Kashmir can live a peaceful life. Ajay, of course, this is a call for galvanizing government support. At the same time, the Home Ministry is really concerned as to, the concepts of radicalization coming out of Srinagar and being implemented elsewhere in the country. How do you think, the formation of strategy is going to be impacted in the next few days when it comes to safeguarding and securing Jammu and Kashmir?
I believe that political parties, as I said, that they have to do the politics by making statements and other things, but it is the security forces who has to tackle the situation. No doubt that security forces, they are doing a commendable job by, killing the terrorists and also unearthing these kind of terror modules, those who are operating in the country, especially in Jammu and Kashmir. But at the same time, it is a responsibility of the political parties and the societies as well to ensure that if somebody is being radicalized, then who are the people, those who are doing it, and they have to identify them and then, share this information with the authorities so that that can be taken care of. Otherwise, it is very tough for the authorities. So in the coming days, I believe that it is planned that a whole network of the terror operatives, those who are basically operating in Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and other part of India, they have to be identified, they have to be totally traced out and identified and then sent behind the bar. That is the only solution for them, those who have joined hand with the enemy and those who are planning to carry out major attacks in the country. But as far as the future plan is concerned, definitely political parties, society, authorities, everyone has to join hand to fight this plan of enemy, Pakistan, those who are basically using these, young boys, educated boys in the terror-related activities. No doubt that Omar, just imagine that Omar, who have spent lot of money, parents must have spent lot of money for doing doctorate, medical, MBBS and the post-graduation. When the time came that, he would have done something good for the society and the family, he joined this terror rank and then later he died. So that shows that people have to understand that joining terror ranks are, picking up gun means that you are going to die next few days or weeks or months. So this is the only life of a terrorist. So if you are doing anything, wrong in the against the country, anti-national, then you have to pay for it.
Ajay, stay with us. The People's Democratic Party unit in Bhaderwa cancelled the victory celebration of Aga Sayyid Muntazir Mehendi, the winning candidate from Budgam, following the tragic accidental blast at Nowgam police station in Srinagar that claimed multiple lives. As a mark of respect, PDP Bhaderwa observed a 2-minute silence, offering prayers for the souls lost not only in the Nowgam tragedy but also in the recent Delhi blast. Party members prayed for strength for the bereaved families and for the swift recovery of all those who have been injured. Leaders of the party said that celebrations were inappropriate at a time when families are mourning, and the entire UT Union Territory remains in pain. They dedicated their prayers to the fallen heroes whose service and sacrifice they said would always be remembered, is what we are learning. And also, after paying respects to those who had lost their lives in the horrific Nowgam blast, Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha visited the Ujala Cygnus and SMHS hospital in Srinagar and met those injured during the unfortunate accidental blast at Nowgam police station last night in Kashmir. Following the meeting, the governor met with their families and prayed for a speedy recovery. Ajay Jandyal, my colleague, is still with us on the broadcast. So Ajay, definitely signs of unity in this adversity from across party lines are quite palpable and visible, which is an amazing thing.
Yes, some political parties, they have decided the same, and PDP's Bhadrama being in Dora district, they also have, they have ensured that they are not going to celebrate this occasion of celebration when one of their, candidate from Badgam, he made victory over there, and definitely it was a pet seat of National Conference. Omar Abdullah won this seat during the recent election, and when he left that seat, it was vacant, and PDP's member, he won and he became MLA. But instead of celebrating the occasion, they have decided not to do the same because of the incident which took life of 9 people in Srinagar's Nowgam. That was the major thing they wanted to do, and they say that we pay condolences to the family and those who have lost their life, their family members have lost their life. But at the same time, they say that definitely society need to be united and stand with the people and the family members.
Well, in a heartfelt gesture, party leader and Badgam MLA Agha Sayyid Muntazir Sahab visited the residence of Tehsildar Muzaffar Ahmed Khan in Soibag to offer condolences to the grieving family. Khan tragically lost his life in the accidental blast at Nowgam police station, is what we are learning. And latest visuals also coming in. Hundreds of people have joined the funeral prayers of Inspector Asrar Ahmed in Kupwara on Saturday, a day after he was killed in the Nowgam police station blast. Colleagues and relatives and residents gathered amidst emotional scenes as his body was brought to his hometown, and those are images coming in from that congregation. Ajay Jandyal, my colleague, still with us. Ajay, a number of innocent lives have been lost as a result of this very volatile and unpredictable element, something which definitely could have been avoided.
You rightly said, because it's a tragic incident, and 9 people have lost their life, including revenue officials, FSL team officials, and the Jammu Kashmir police personnel, those who have lost their life and attained martyrdom in this tragic incident. Definitely it could have been avoided, but unfortunate incident have already unfolded and inquiry is underway. MLA Badgam, Agha Said, he also visited the family and pays condolences over there. And everyone is in Kashmir as well as in the rest of the country. They are in the pain after this incident has happened. We have seen that LG Manoj Sinha himself also have flown from Jammu to Srinagar. He met with the family members. He met the injured, those who were there in the hospital. So definitely it's a tragic moment, but what has happened had happened, and now inquiry will tell the story that what exactly seems to be the reason, because why this explosive were taken from Faridabad to Kashmir, Nowgam, and if it was already on the ready mode for explosion, because already in Delhi one explosion took place. So why precaution was not taken and that was not destroyed instead of keeping them in the police station? So that is definitely a matter of investigation, which already have ordered. Investigation is already ordered by the LG Manoj Sinha.
Right. Meanwhile, my colleague Ashik Mir has also filed some ground reports from Nowgam. Let's have a look.
श्रीनगर के नवगाम पुलिस स्टेशन में अचानक एक विस्फोटक धमाके में 8 लोगों की मौत और कई अन्य घायल हो चुके हैं। इस वक्त हम श्रीनगर के ही एक अस्पताल में है, जहां पर जख्मियों को जो है लाया गया है और बताया जा रहा है लगभग 30 से ज्यादा लोग जो है इसमें घायल हुए हैं, जिसमें से 8 की मौत जो है वाक़ा हो गई है। दरअसल ये अमोनियम नाइट्रेट जो कि दिल्ली के फरीदाबाद में रिकवर हुआ था, उसी के लिए जो है यहाँ पर नौगाम पुलिस स्टेशन में आज FSL टीम जो है वो पहुंची थी, जो इस चीज को मॉनिटर कर रही थी, और साथ में कई सारे मैजिस्ट्रेट्स भी थे जो इस पूरे की जांच कर रहे थे। और ये सारा अमोनियम नाइट्रेट जो है नौगाम के पुलिस स्टेशन में रखा गया था। अचानक लगभग 11:20 पर जो है रात के ये विस्फोट होता है, और इस विस्फोट के धमाके में आसपास की कई सारी इमारतें जो है वो उन्हें काफी ज्यादा नुकसान हो गया है, और साथ ही साथ जो नौगाम का पुलिस स्टेशन है वो पूरी तरह से तबाह हो चुका है। फिलहाल कई सारे लोग वहां पर बताया जा रहा है जो डिटेन किए गए हैं थे नौगाम पुलिस स्टेशन में अमोनियम नाइट्रेट को लेकर, और आज जो है इसी पर जो है वहां पर FSL की टीम पहुंची थी जब वहां पर ये धमाका हुआ, और धमाके की जद में लगभग 8 लोग बताया जा रहा है जिनकी जान चली गई, और बाकी के लोग जो है इस समय श्रीनगर के अलग अलग अस्पतालों में जो है दाखिल किए गए हैं, जिनमें से कईयों की हालत जो है नाजुक भी बताई जा रही है। पहले ही जम्मू कश्मीर में जो है हाई अलर्ट रखा गया है, और इस हाई अलर्ट के बाद इस तरह का धमाका होना कहीं ना कहीं एक सुरक्षा की चूक भी माना जाता है, क्योंकि किस तरह से ये अमोनियम नाइट्रेट जो है वहां पर रखा गया था, और बाज़ाब्ता तौर पर अगर ये एक एक्सप्लोसिव के तौर पर ऑलरेडी रेड फोर्ट में फट चुका था, लेकिन उसके बावजूद किस तरह से नौगाम के पुलिस स्टेशन में रखा गया था, ये एक बड़ा विषय बन चुका है। फिलहाल अगर हम इस विस्फोट की बात करें जिसमें 8 लोगों की मौत बताया जा रहा है और कई अन्य घायल हो चुके हैं, जिनमें से कईयों को जो है इस समय इस प्राइवेट अस्पताल में भी रखा गया है, और कुछ को जो है श्रीनगर के अलग अलग अस्पतालों में रखा गया है। और ये भी बताया जा रहा है कि कई सारे इनमें जो है नाजुक जिनकी हालत है। और फिलहाल श्रीनगर की ये हालत हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं, जहाँ पर लगातार जितने भी बड़े ऑफिशियल्स हैं वो यहाँ विजिट करते हैं, और जो यहाँ पर जख्मी हुए हैं उनकी हालत जानने के लिए यहाँ पर आ रहे हैं। और लगातार जिस तरह से रेड फोर्ट बम धमाके में एक के बाद एक रिकवरी मिल रही है, और आज जिस तरह से श्रीनगर के नवगाम पुलिस स्टेशन में विस्फोटक धमाका हुआ है, इसमें कहीं ना कहीं अब ये बताया जा रहा है कि जांच एजेंसियां जो है वो काम कर रही है कि आखिरकार इस तरह का विस्फोट कैसे हुआ। और पहले ही ये खबर आ रही थी कि 2900 किलो जो अमोनियम नाइट्रेट है वो रिकवर हुआ था, उसमें से कुछ अमोनियम नाइट्रेट जो है श्रीनगर के पुलिस स्टेशन नवगाम लाया गया था, जहां पर इसकी जांच चल रही थी। और आज जब FSL की टीम वहां पर पहुंची तो उसी दौरान लगभग रात के 11:20 पर यह विस्फोट होता है, और इस विस्फोट में कई सारे लोग जो है मारे जाते हैं। फिरोजवानी के साथ आशिक मीर, इंडिया न्यूज। श्रीनगर के नवगाम पुलिस स्टेशन के बाहर हम इस समय खड़े हैं, जहां पर कल रात को लगभग 11:20 पर एक विस्फोट हुआ, और इस विस्फोट में लगभग 9 लोगों की मौत और 27 से ज्यादा लोग जो है घायल बताए जा रहे हैं। दरअसल ये वो एरिया है जहां पर अमोनियम नाइट्रेट जो है रखा गया था, जो कि दिल्ली के फरीदाबाद से रिकवर हुआ था। और इसी पुलिस स्टेशन के अंदर की अगर हम बात करें, वहां पर कई सारे ऐसे डिटेन करके रखे गए थे जो दिल्ली ब्लास्ट और जो डॉक्टर मॉड्यूल जो है पकड़ा गया है, उनको यहीं पर डिटेन किया गया था। आगे जो आप ये तस्वीरें देख रहे हैं, यहाँ पर पुलिस के तमाम तर ऑफिशियल जो है वो इस समय पहुंच चुके हैं, जो कि आपको तस्वीरों में हम दिखा रहे हैं। ग्राउंड जीरो से ये तस्वीरें दिल्ली के बाद अब यहाँ कश्मीर घाटी के नवगाम इलाके में एक विस्फोट होता है, और ये विस्फोट जो है पुलिस स्टेशन के अंदर हुआ है। और बताया जा रहा है इसमें 9 पुलिस कर्मियों के साथ साथ एक मजिस्ट्रेट जो है वो मारे गए हैं, और कई अन्य जो है घायल हुए हैं। दरअसल कल रात लगभग 11:20 पर ये निरीक्षण चल रहा था, जो कि सामग्री बरामद हुई है, चाहे इसमें अमोनियम नाइट्रेट की बात करें, यहाँ से आपको तस्वीरों में दिखाया जाएगा। ये पूरा एरिया जो है सील करके रखा गया है। दिल्ली के फरीदाबाद में जो अमोनियम नाइट्रेट रिकवर हुआ है, उसी के चलते यहाँ पर जो है जांच चल रही थी। इसको देखा जा रहा था, जो 360 किलो बताया जा रहा था अमोनियम नाइट्रेट जो है रिकवर हुआ है, उसी के चलते जो है यहाँ पर इसकी जांच चल रही थी जब ये ब्लास्ट हुआ। और उस समय जो है पुलिस कर्मियों के साथ साथ यहाँ पर मजिस्ट्रेट भी थे जो जांच कर रहे थे। फॉरेंसिक जो लैब्स होती है वहां तक ले जाने की कोशिश की जा रही थी जो दिल्ली में मुजम्मिल के रेजिडेंस से बरामद हुआ अमोनियम नाइट्रेट कल रात को नौगाम के इसी पुलिस स्टेशन में जो है वो फट गया और इसमें जो है 9 लोगों की मौत और कई अन्य जो है घायल हुए हैं। फिलहाल इस एरिया की तस्वीरें हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं कि किस तरह से ये पूरा एरिया जो है सील करके रखा गया है और जगह जगह पर सुरक्षा कर्मी जो है वो तैनात रखे गए हैं। और कल रात से ही हम देख रहे हैं तमाम तर जो ऑफिशियल्स है, चाहे हम पुलिस की बात करें या इंडियन आर्मी की बात करें, वो यहाँ पर पहुँच रहे हैं और मौके का जायजा ले रहे हैं कि किस तरह से ये ब्लास्ट जो है हुआ है। हालांकि कहीं ना कहीं एक लापरवाही भी हम मान सकते हैं, एक लापरवाही के तहत जो है ये ब्लास्ट हुआ है कि किस तरह से 360 किलोग्राम का ये अमोनियम नाइट्रेट जो है इस पुलिस स्टेशन के अंदर रखा गया था, जो कि अचानक विस्फोट हुआ और इस विस्फोट में जो है 9 लोग जो है मारे गए हैं। फिलहाल पुलिस की जितनी भी टीम्स है वो इस समय यहाँ पर पहुंची है, जो कि जांच कर रही है इस ब्लास्ट के हवाले से, क्योंकि आसपास के जो घर है उन्हें भी काफ़ी नुकसान जो है पहुंचा है। साथ साथ जो पुलिस स्टेशन है वो पूरी तरह से मलबे के ढेर में तब्दील हो चुका है। फिलहाल जिस तरह से एक बड़ा मॉड्यूल जिसमें कई सारे डॉक्टर्स इन्वॉल्व रहे हैं, चाहे हम जैश के लिंक्स की बात करें तो इसको जिस तरह से सुरक्षा एजेंसीज इस समय जांच रही थी, तो उसी के चलते जो है उसी दौरान एक अमोनियम नाइट्रेट जो पुलिस स्टेशन नौगाम में रखा गया था और कल रात को इसी का निरीक्षण चल रहा था, इसी को देख रहे थे और मैजिस्ट्रेट भी वहां पर मौजूद था जब ये ब्लास्ट हुआ। और इस ब्लास्ट में अभी तक 9 लोगों की मौत और कई अन्य जो है इस समय अस्पतालों में घायल पड़े हुए हैं। तस्वीरें आप देख सकते हैं नौगाम पुलिस स्टेशन के, जहां पर पुलिस के तमाम तर जितने भी ऑफिसर्स हैं वो इस समय मौजूद है। और देखने वाली बात यह है कि सबसे बड़ी जो चूक है वो यहाँ पर देखी गई है और कहीं ना कहीं इस चूक के ऊपर जो है अब कई सारे सवाल जो है वो खड़े हो रहे हैं। तस्वीरें हम आपको ग्राउंड जीरो से दिखा रहे हैं कि किस तरह से पुलिस के तमाम जितने भी ऑफिशियल्स हैं वो इस समय इस जाए मौके पर पहुंच चुके हैं, जो कि हर एक चीज़ को बारीकबीनी से देख रहे हैं कि किस तरह से ये जो विस्फोट हुआ है इसके पीछे किस तरह का लापरवाही हुई है और किस तरह की चूक जो है यहाँ पर हुई है, जो कि फिलहाल देखा जा सकता है। फिलहाल तस्वीरों के जरिए ये खास तस्वीरें हम श्रीनगर नौगाम पुलिस स्टेशन के बाहर की आपको दिखा रहे हैं। यहाँ पर पुलिस के कई सारे ऑफिशियल्स जो है कल रात से ही पहुँचे थे और कल रात से ही इन चीज़ों को देखा जा रहा था और कल रात को ही इसका निरीक्षण जो है चल रहा था। जब कल शाम को यहाँ पर फॉरेंसिक टीम्स के साथ साथ जो मैजिस्ट्रेट होता है उसकी निगरानी में ये विस्फोट जो है यहाँ पर हुआ है। फिलहाल कई सारे लोग जो है जिनको अभी तक आइडेंटिफाई नहीं किया गया है इनमें से, और उन चीज़ों को देखा जा रहा है। कई सारे लोग ऐसे भी हैं जिनके घायल जनों के परिवारजन जो है वो यहाँ पर पहुँचे थे, वो इस चीज़ को देख रहे थे कि उनके घर वालों में से कौन कौन मिसिंग है। फिलहाल इस एरिया को जो है पूरी तरह से खाली कर दिया गया है क्योंकि एक रेजिडेंशियल एरिया है जहां पर ये विस्फोट हुआ है और इस विस्फोट में फिलहाल 9 लोग जो है वो मारे गए हैं और साथ ही साथ अगर हम बात करें लगभग 29 से ज़्यादा जो घायल है, जिनमें से ज़्यादातर पुलिसकर्मी शामिल है, वो जो है इस समय अलग अलग अस्पतालों में उनका इलाज जो है चल रहा है। फिलहाल ग्राउंड जीरो से हम आपको तस्वीरें दिखा रहे हैं कि तमाम तर जितनी भी चाहे पुलिस कर्मियों की बात करें, चाहे आर्मी की बात करें, यानी जितनी भी सुरक्षा एजेंसीज है वो इस समय जो है इस समय ग्राउंड जीरो पर पहुंच चुकी है और लगातार इस चीज़ को देखने की कोशिश जो है की जा रही है। फिरोजवानी के साथ श्रीनगर नौगाम पुलिस स्टेशन से आशिक मीर, इंडिया NewsX के लिए। श्रीनगर नौगाम पुलिस स्टेशन में हुए विस्फोटक बम धमाके में जहां पुलिस कर्मियों की मौत वाक़ा हो गई है, तो वही एक दर्जी जो कि वहां पर काम के घर से गए थे उनकी भी मौत हुई है और ये तस्वीरें हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं उनके घर की। और हमारे साथ उनके बेटे जो है मौजूद है बात करने के लिए, जिनका नाम मोहम्मद शफी परे है, जिनकी मौत हुई है। आप मुझे बताइए आपके पिताजी कहाँ गए थे उस समय, क्या हुआ था?
वो गए थे पुलिस स्टेशन ही, उनको वो बैग बनाने थे, पता नहीं इनको क्या हो गया है, अचानक ही ब्लास्ट हो गया, हमें पता ही नहीं चला। तो हम सारे घबरा गए, घर वाले घबरा गए, हम दौड़ गए, थाना हमारे पास में ही है। हम जब देखा था उधर सारा आग ही आग था। 2 बजे तक मैं अपने बाप को ढूंढता रहा पर कहीं नहीं मिला।
इससे पहले भी वो कभी जाते थे पुलिस स्टेशन?
ना कभी नहीं।
आज ही गए थे?
आज ही गए हैं। मैंने
इनको शॉप से उठाया, इनको उठाया गया शॉप से, ये जाते नहीं है, इनको उठाया गया।
काम इनकी दुकान कहाँ पे?
दुकान बाहर है वानेबल में। हाँ,
तो आपसे आपके पिता ने क्या कहा, क्या काम है वहाँ पे, किस लिए जाना है?
पिता ने कहा है कि टेलरिंग का काम है वहाँ पे। मैंने बोला है तो इनके अपने टेलर होते हैं, पुलिस के अपने टेलर होते हैं, हर कोई चीज़ इनको अपनी होती है। तो बोला है, अब इन्होंने बोला कल भी करेंगे तंग, आज भी करेंगे तंग, इससे बेहतर है जाना है। मैंने भी बोला अब जाओ, अब क्या बताते, लोग तो डरते ही है इनसे, पुलिस से आजकल लोग डरती है।
इनको धमकी मिली।
फिलहाल मुझे बताइए, क्योंकि आप अभी गए थे वहाँ पे, आपने क्या सुना, कहाँ पे उनकी डेड बॉडी आपको
सुना? अभी बाई गया था, पीसीआर में देखा हमने, हर एसएमएचएस में भी ढूंढा, वहाँ नहीं मिला, उजाला में भी।
पीसीआर में उनकी डेड बॉडी पीसीआर में अभी।
उनकी एज क्या थी?
50 प्लस
42 हो गए, 42 45 तक 42 हो गए।
मोहम्मद शफी परे का ये परिवार है जो कि एक दर्जी का काम यहाँ पर करता था, और कल जब यहाँ पर जो है उसी अमोनियम नाइट्रेट की पैकिंग करनी थी, उसके लिए जो है इसी मोहम्मद शफी को जो है बुलाया गया था, ताकि इस जो अमोनियम नाइट्रेट वहाँ से पकड़ा गया है इसको सील किया जाए। लेकिन उसी समय ये ब्लास्ट होता है, और इस ब्लास्ट में मोहम्मद शफी परे भी जो है उनकी भी जान चली जाती है। फिलहाल उनके घर की ये तस्वीरें हैं जहां पर पूरा मातम जो है इस समय बिछा हुआ है, और लोग इस समय यहाँ पर जमा हो चुके हैं। मोहम्मद शफी परे की डेड बॉडी का वेट कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि लास्ट राइट्स के लिए यहाँ पर उनकी डेड बॉडी जो है अब से कुछ देर बाद लाई जाएगी। और तस्वीरें हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं कि किस तरह की हालत यहाँ पर बनी हुई है, जब कल रात को एक विस्फोट हुआ है, और इस विस्फोट की जद में एक आम शहरी जो कि टेलरिंग का काम करता था, दर्जी का काम करता था, उसे भी उस समय जो है पुलिस स्टेशन लाया गया था, ताकि वो जो अमोनियम नाइट्रेट यहाँ से रिकवर किया गया था उसको जो है पैक किया जाए। और उसी के चलते जब वो पुलिस स्टेशन पहुंचे रात के 11:20 पर ये विस्फोट हुआ, जिसमें मोहम्मद शफी की भी जान जो है उस समय चली गई। फिरोज के साथ आशिक मीर, इंडिया न्यूज़।
को पावर्ड बाय policybazaar.com। हर फैमिली होगी इंश्योर्ड।
25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप?
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
सस्ते वाले दाल मसाले स्वाद हुआ बेकार, MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप?
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर। MDH गरम मसाला, असली मसालों से भरा हूँ मैं,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप?
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
आपके घर के खाने में रेस्टोरेंट जैसा स्वाद ले आए MDH का शाही पनीर मसाला। पनीर को क्या मस्त बना डाला।
Hello and welcome to We Women Want. This is our weekly show for women, by women, where we discuss issues that really all women should know about. You know, we discuss issues from body shaming, domestic violence, laws that help women, to even just fashion sense, cancer, health issues. So this is a show that is fast becoming a support group for people. We celebrate the winners and we try and find solutions for those who need. Today I have a very important topic, and this is something that I said earlier, that women of any age, every age, needs to hear about, needs to focus about, and needs to be aware about. We are discussing cervical cancer today. Joining me on the show today is Dr. Jayashree Sundar, Director of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Madhukar Rainbow Hospital. I have Dr. Charanjit Kaur. She's a consultant gynecologist and obstetrician. She practices in South Delhi and is attached to the Apollo Hospital, Cradle, Daffodils, and Fortis La Femme. And also joining us is Dr. Neeru Sen. She's an acupressure specialist, naturopathy and panchkarma specialist. Dr. Jayashree Sundar, what exactly is cervical cancer? If you can explain to our viewers. As we know, our government has also announced a vaccination for cervical cancer. So it is something that they are taking very seriously. How seriously should our viewers take it?
Cervical cancer should be taken seriously because it is a thing that needs to be, because we are the largest, 25% of cervical cancers in the world is caused by from India. So that's a huge contribution we are doing.
75,000 Indian women die
Yes,
every
and
year.
so it is around 25% of the total cancer deaths that happen. So whenever we say cervix to a layman, they think there is a cervix, cervical vertebra. So that ye to cervix idhar hai, why should you talk about cervix here? So I always explain to them, we women have a uterus and it has two parts. There is a body of the womb and there is a neck of the womb, right?
Okay.
So the neck of the womb is what we call as cervix, and the cervix behaves differently from the body of the womb, right? And the neck of the womb is the part which is exposed when somebody is sexually active, right? So all of us, so when you get sexually active, that is the part which is exposed, and that is the part which has got a lot of dynamic changes of cells, and obviously when it is exposed to sex, you are having many viruses affecting it, and one of the biggest viruses that affects everybody who becomes sexually active. So there should be no taboo about it. Though HPV is sexually transmitted, all women or men even gets HPV virus, and there are 100 types of viruses, right? Of which some of them are very high risk for cervical cancer. So whenever we say cervix, it is actually the neck of the womb which comes in contact when somebody has sex, and it's a part of the uterus, right? So we should be conscious. We doctors keep talking about it. Like I always tell mothers when they come to me, I tell them, if you have daughters, vaccinate them. If women come for in their reproductive age group, when they come for pre-conception counseling, I'll tell them. If they come, if they have a baby with us, we tell them have it after the baby. So every woman should be aware about it, because women, unfortunately, even in our country, even now, don't visit a doctor for a preventive problem.
Yes.
They only go, maximum women attend doctors when they come to the gynecologist. Some of the young girls are very embarrassed. So many pregnant women are sitting, why am I sitting here? So I think this has been going on in my mind, that we should be talking about adolescent clinics, you know, where the young woman can easily approach the doctor with not so many women being pregnant. We cannot have a common clinics for them. So it is a cancer which has to be dealt with seriously. It is the second largest cancer causing the second largest cancer in our country for women, first being obviously breast cancer, and much more in the rural population than in our urban population, and Uttar Pradesh contributes maximum to it.
Dr. Charanjit, so spoke about a vaccination. What exactly is this vaccination, and is there an age group where you would recommend and an age group where one should not take that vaccination?
Yeah, so vaccination basically is something which prevents a disease from happening.
Correct.
So it is what is called the primary prevention of any disease. So we are very used to having vaccinations for many illnesses, but childhood vaccinations, the parents are also very keen that their children should be well protected. Again, it comes that this is a vaccination for the adolescents, because this is a disease which comes a little later. And the earliest age group is 9 to 14 years, what has been recommended. And 9 to 14 years, why it has been recommended? Because the response of the body to the vaccine in terms of production of the antibodies is very good, it's robust. And this response to the vaccine decreases with age. So even though the vaccine has been allowed to be given till about 44, 45 years of age, however, the response of the body is not going to be as good as it is going to be in the age group of 9 to 14. So it is very good, important, and that is why the government program also has got that target group, 9 to 14 years, where you require 2 doses of the vaccine, 6 months apart. And the doses we have at the present in the market, of course, are very good, very well researched. And they cover quite a few of the strains of the oncogenic types, the ones which cause cancers. So the one which is now produced in India, which we are very proud to use now, is something which covers the two most important oncogenic strains of the virus, which is 16 and 18. It also covers 6 and 11, which is responsible for warts.
Okay. But are there any side effects for?
Side effects of vaccines are very, this vaccine has been out since 2008. So any side effects, any serious side effects, if they were, then it would not still be introduced into global programs. So side effects are very few, just like any injection can cause a side effect of redness, pain. Serious side effects are only a little bit of dizziness and a little bit of fainting attacks, which is a very rare side effect. So really not a very big challenge to giving these vaccines anywhere.
And after taking the vaccination, do I need a pap smear still?
Yes. So a vaccine is something which will prevent a primary prevention. Now, HPV is responsible for approximately 70 to 80% of the cancers. There are other risk factors. So we do not know those risk factors. And then, as we said, the capacity of the body to protect itself is different in everybody. So how much is it protecting you? What is your lifestyle? If you have lifestyle disorders which will make you immunocompromised, maybe if you have HIV or maybe you've had a transplant for any reason and you're taking an immunosuppressants, so then your antibody response is not going to be that good. So then the protection goes down. And so pap smears remain a very important thing to do. And minimum, if you do a pap smear, which is the HPV testing pap smear, even if you do it at the age of 35 and 45, it covers you well enough, provided the previous two pap smears were negative for HPV.
Okay.
So if they're positive for HPV, of course, then the schedule changes. Yeah.
Okay, I will go into the treatment later, but I'll come to you also in 2 minutes. The symptoms of cervical cancer, what should one look out for?
So 2-3 things here. So pap smear, so women always think that they don't need a screening. I want to add on to this. Screening is mandatory whether you have been vaccinated or you have not been vaccinated. So the message, take home message should be very clear, because not only 16 and 18 we are protecting against, there are multiple variants of viruses. So even if somebody 51, 56, 33, which also can cause cancer. So all women should be told that they have to get a screening done irrespective of whether they have taken the vaccine or they have not taken the vaccine. So we say that though 9 to 15 is the best, anytime before sexual debut, I mean, before they have a sexual debut, it is very good to take the vaccine. But even if they have had a sexual debut, it is always good to take the vaccine, because even if they have been infected by one of the variants, at least they will be protected by the other variant, right? So all women should be encouraged to take the vaccine, because many people don't want to come to the doctor because they think already I have had a sexual debut, so maybe I am not the right candidate to have it. So it is very important for them to have this vaccine. The number 2 thing is symptoms, right? So whenever we talk about symptoms, so there is an incubation period or a prodromal, pre-cancerous period for this virus. So if you look at it like this, if all women are infected with the viruses, 1% of the population may have a persistent HPV in them, because not everybody will have the HPV. And out of that 1% who are persistent HPV, 1% may progress to cancer. So if you look at the risk, it's not much, but so 1% may have persistent HPV. Out of that 1% may develop cervical cancer. So the idea of screening is to find people between that persistent HPV to the invasive cancer, and that can take 15 to 20 years, not 1 or 2 days, right? It takes 15 to 20 years. So that is the time. What are the symptoms we are looking at?
Something similar which are visible to us,
so you
not
may
just
have
via the screening.
So it is about whether you have a discharge which is atypical, right? If you bleed when you are having sex, or postcoital bleeding is a very common symptom. As I said, the neck of the womb is the part, right? So if you have any ulcer or erosion there, then that might bleed when somebody is having sex. Or it could be that you have intermenstrual bleeding, you are bleeding in between. Or there can be a foul smelling discharge because of the growth of the virus. And many people don't want to go to see the doctor for that. So these are the symptoms which you should be watching out for when we are looking for symptoms of cervical cancer.
Can these go away on their own, the cancer? What is the treatment?
So it's the very early stages of cancer which can regress. So that is why the moment you get an HPV positive on a pap smear, it is not treated, it is kept under surveillance. Because before the age of 30, 35, many of these changes which come, they're known as CIN 1, 2 and 3. So the CIN 1 can regress on its own. Just a little few changes in lifestyle, yes. Safe sex practices, stopping smoking, better diet and things, they can all contribute to increasing the immunity. And when one increases the immunity, these viruses can be controlled and the pathology can be decreased. But once it crosses the second stage, CIN2 and CIN3, and CIN2 is like it may go this way or it may go this way. And so they need further surveillance. But CIN3 can progress into invasive disease and definitely needs cancer, needs treatment. Above CIN2, treatment is very necessary.
So, Dr. Neeru, the cancer supposing has been diagnosed, then what can you do to help the patient in terms of naturopathy, apart from the other treatments, of course?
Naturopathy is working on the cause of डिसीज तो हमें कॉज पता लग गई, लेकिन उसके पीछे बहुत सारे सिम्टम्स आते हैं, लाइक डिस्चार्ज, जैसे कि मैम ने बताया, डिस्चार्ज होता है, ब्लीडिंग होती है, स्पॉटिंग्स होती है, या फिर उसकी जो लाइफस्टाइल है उसमें अगर एक से ज़्यादा लोगों के साथ अगर वो फिजिकली रिलेशन है, उन सब सिनेरियोज को हम लोग पहले वॉच आउट करते हैं। वो वॉच आउट होने के बाद में जो कॉज देखी जाती है एज पर एक्यूप्रेशर, जो लोग एक्यूप्रेशर नोन है और दे आर मच अवेयर अबाउट इट कि हम लोग बॉडी एनर्जी पे काम करते हैं। और बॉडी एनर्जी जो है वो आपकी ड्राइनेस है या हॉटनेस है या वहाँ पे इन्फेक्शन है, वो सिम्टम्स बताता है। उस सिम्टम्स के बेस हम लोग काम करते हैं। और क्योंकि यूट्रस इज कनेक्टेड विद द स्पाइन, और स्पाइन को हम लोग जो इंट्रोड्यूस कराते हैं वो ट्रिपल वार्मर से कराते हैं। तो ट्रिपल वार्मर अगर वहाँ पर बहुत ज़्यादा हॉटनेस की वजह से इन्फेक्शन हुआ है, दाने हो गए, या वहाँ की स्किन जो है वो फूल रही है, ब्लीड कर रही है, तो इन सब सिनेरियोज के अंदर हम लोग वहाँ की हॉटनेस को कम करते हैं, जो कि मैग्नेट्स के थ्रू किया जाता है। तो वो एज पर पेशेंट कंडीशन एंड एज पर द डिसीज कंडीशन ऑफ द डिसीज़, उनके बेस पे वो ट्रीटमेंट दिया जाता है कि हॉटनेस को कम करना है या फिर हमें वहाँ पे ड्राइनेस को बढ़ाना है। वो सब चीज़ों को हम उस तरीके से देखते हैं। एंड सेकेंड थिंग, बहुत बार ये भी होता है, जैसे कि मैम ने बताया 4 स्टेजेस होती है। फर्स्ट स्टेज में अगर हम लोग को डायग्नोज करते हैं तो सिंपली ट्रीटमेंट, मेडिसिन हो गई, बाकी चीज़ें हो गई, उनसे वो ट्रीट करते हैं। लेकिन एज पर एक्यूप्रेशर जब जैसे जैसे कॉज उसकी जो पोजीशन है वो बढ़ने लगती है, स्टेज बढ़ने लगती है कैंसर की, उस सिनेरियो के अंदर हम लोग जो है वो ये देखते हैं कि वहाँ पे कोई गांठ तो नहीं बन रही। अगर वहाँ गांठ बन रही है तो वहाँ पे एनर्जी जो है वो ड्राइनेस एनर्जी एक्सेस हो गई है, तो उसको कम करते हैं। और वो सारा मैग्नेट के थ्रू चलता है और वो रेगुलर ट्रीटमेंट है, थोड़ा लंबे टाइम तक चलने वाला होता है। इसके अलावा आयुर्वेदा की जब हम लोग बात करते हैं तो वहाँ पे बहुत सारी ऐसी हर्ब्स हैं जिससे कि डूज दिया जाता है, या उसमें हिप बात देते हैं, या डायरेक्ट जो है कॉटन से पर्टिकुलर पार्ट प्राइवेट एरिया की सिकाई करवा करके जो सिम्टम्स आ रहे हैं, अगर वहाँ पे कोई ल्यूकोरिया की प्रॉब्लम है, ब्लीडिंग की प्रॉब्लम है, तो इन सिनेरियोज के अंदर उन ट्रीटमेंट्स को दे करके बहुत इजीली वो ट्रीटमेंट्स जो लक्षण वहाँ पे जो सिम्टम्स देखे जा रहे हैं उनको कम किया जा सकता है, जिससे कि काफ़ी हद तक चांसेस होते हैं उसको रिकवर होने के।
Okay, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to come back and talk a bit more about the preventives really, what can one do, what all should be looking for, how often do you need the pap smear, just things, basic things that we all need to keep in mind. So after a short break.
25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. Today we are focusing on cervical cancer. We discussed in terms of how it is prevalent and all, but in terms of preventives, what else can you say? Dr. Kaur has told us something, but some more, if you'd like to add.
So preventive,
and what should one look out for, and who's more at risk?
So preventive, obviously vaccination now, which we didn't have when we were young children, right? So definitely vaccination of all. So if we vaccinate 90% of the adolescents, we are going to prevent cancer in a very big way.
Supposing people have missed the vaccination boat, can they take it now at 50s, 60s?
No. So the window period is till 45. For the Indian vaccine that has come out, it is only till 25, right? So we cannot go. I mean, at 45 it will really, after 45 it doesn't make a big difference whether you vaccinate or not, right?
Okay.
And as we said, after 45 if you're not HPV positive, it is very unlikely that you are the candidate for cervical cancer, though the screening is till the age of 65. Right?
Okay.
So the two things is, so prevention, obviously a good lifestyle. So delaying child marriages, why is it more common in the rural areas? Because our tissues are also growing when we are 12, 13, 14. So when adolescents have sex, right? So obviously you are exposing the changing tissues to HPV, which increases the risk of cancer. So delaying the age of sex, that's why I think the legal marriage should be above 18. So that avoiding smoking, which is becoming more commoner in women than it was before. Smoking is a big risk factor. I would like to say this with caution, responsibly, because having multiple sexual partners also increases the risk of cervical cancer, because obviously which virus affects you, you don't know. But people should not, when they go to the doctor, they should not think that they will be judged that they have multiple sexual partners when they have because it becomes a challenge when it comes from us, that having multiple sexual partners, or they start doubting their partners. If we say if the partner has multiple sexual partners, you don't want to create a matrimonial disharmony being a doctor, right? So, but they are the ones who are at higher risk, right? But it's not necessary that that can be the reason, because there are a lot of rural women who get this cancer, for that. So, and then the body immunity. So, if somebody is HIV positive, they should be screened more than the other population, because then they're immunodeficient, their risk of cancer goes up. So, these are the risk factors which we should be, these are the factors which we should be working on to prevent cervical cancer.
So, there's a strategy, 90, 70, 90. That's what is the global strategy. And wherever you want to control any disease, so like for example, now this cervical cancer, there's been a global call from the WHO that control this. We must control this. So 77,000 women who die, we must control this, and the goal is to make it 4 per 1 lakh women by the year to 2030. So how do we go about it? Is 90, 70, 90. 90 is primary prevention. Vaccination. Vaccination is the primary prevention. You've not started sex, children 9 to 14. Give them the vaccine, increase their immunities so that the virus does not, have the harmful effects. 70 is that secondary prevention. Secondary prevention means screen and screen. No woman, 70% of the population of women should be screened for HPV by the age of 35 minimum. मतलब तो होना ही चाहिए. And again by 45, again another screening.
Okay.
So this is a must. If we adhere to these, and if we have the infrastructure which can do this 90, 70, and what is the last 90 is the tertiary prevention. We have screened, we have found this infection, we have found some disease, make it accessible. Treatment should be accessible. So good treatment, accessible treatment. अब woman को screen कर दिया, positive निकल गया, छोड़ दिया, नहीं follow किया, doesn't make any improvement in the situation.
Correct.
So treat, screen and treat at the same time is now the new mantra. Screen and treat.
What is the treatment? Is it the same as any other cancer, chemotherapy, radiology?
Yeah. So in the early stages, it is basically local ablations. Local. Now, there are parts of the world in which it was just acetic acid screening because there was no pap smear done, nothing, no laboratories, no way they could send. So they used acetic acid vinegar. So vinegar, 5% vinegar, they used that, they saw suspicious lesions and they burnt the entire thing. Just local burning. Very easily done. 5-minute, 7-minute job. You know that woman is not going to come to you. The area is such, interiors hai. They cannot come to primary health centers again and again. So you treat it, screen and treat.
Okay.
In the urban areas, there is screen, diagnose and treat.
Okay.
So in the screening, you find suspicion, call them again, biopsies, then local. Till CIN3, we have local treatments in which the person does not lose their ability to reproduce, they do not lose their libidos, there is no change in their life, just that local treatment has been done and they have to go on going for follow-ups. But as the disease progresses, then this disease can progress to the bladder, rectum, sides, ureters. So then it becomes a problem. Then the surgeries become very aggressive, and then comes the need for chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And then once it starts spreading, it's a quick spread. And then we are only left with supportive treatment at the end of it. So that is why everyone is so keen that prevention should be done. And so you save so many families. One woman who gets this cancer, and this cancer comes peak in 40 to 60 years. She's at the peak of her life. She's managing her children, her family, everything. And so the entire thing goes, there's so much trauma involved. So if we can prevent primary and secondary and treat properly, I think a lot of, tragic consequences can be prevented.
So just be more proactive. In terms of treatment, what would you like to?
So the first thing is, nobody should think removing the uterus is an answer to. So there are many women who come, I am HPV positive, I have completed my family. Do a more pointed, see and treat should be the goal. Even in our setups, if we find somebody HPV positive and we take them up for looking at the cervix under visualization, you treat it immediately. We can either burn that area or we can do a cryo freezing of that area and keep that woman as per protocol in a follow-up. So it is very mandatory that these women should not be lost to follow-up. And about the screening aspect, I think we are now having self-testing devices available now. So women don't need to really go to the hospital to get it tested, it is Colosba or Colosba that's come. The woman can insert and do her own HPV testing and send it for testing. So she can know that whether she is HPV positive or is not HPV positive. So the treatment becomes very aggressive as we go further on. It involves brachytherapy, that is you do local radiation. So the life doesn't remain the same anymore. And cervical cancers, 5-year survival, if early treatment is done, is much better. But once they reach 2B, 3C, then it becomes really very bad, right? So it is very important that we treat the pre-cancer, the window period I was talking about, the 15 to 20 years that you get before she turns to invasive cancer is the time we should be treating and catching all these women. So it's very important to screen women, right?
Is the thing. Would you like to add something on the treatment part of it? One you told was magnet therapy. There's some foods that you suggest for people, Ayurveda talks a lot about the intake that would help.
इसमें त्रिफला is a very effective because उसमें त्रिदोष नाशक है. तो as per आयुर्वेदा अगर मैं बात करूँ पंचकर्मा में हम लोग क्या करते हैं, त्रिफला को पानी में बॉईल करते हैं और सहने लायक, यानी बहुत ज़्यादा गर्म नहीं, बहुत ज़्यादा ठंडा नहीं, लुकवार्म वाटर के अंदर पेशेंट को बैठने के लिए बोलते हैं, जिससे विजाइनल पार्ट जो है जहाँ भी इन्फेक्शन है उसको रिड्यूस करने में वो बहुत अच्छा रिजल्ट देता है. नेचुरोपैथी इज़ ऑल्सो यूजिंग सम काइंड ऑफ हर्ब्स. और इसके अलावा आपकी डाइट जो है इट शुड बी जस्ट लाइक अ ऑर्गन क्लॉक. मतलब ये नया वर्ड नहीं है, मैनी लॉट ऑफ पीपल्स आर अवेयर अबाउट ऑर्गन क्लॉक. मीन्स आपके खाने का टाइम जो है वो इस तरीके से आपको मैनेज करना चाहिए कि आपको गैस्ट्रिक ना हो, आपको हैवीनेस फील ना हो, लेजीनेस ना आए आपकी बॉडी में, आप एक्टिव फील करें. और आपका जो मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल है उस पर आप खासतौर से फोकस करें, क्योंकि क्या होता है कि मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल स्टॉप होने के बाद जो ब्लीडिंग हो रही है या जो स्पॉटिंग आ रही है, उसके लिए महिलाएं जो हैं, फीमेल्स आर मच कॉन्शियस कि ऐसा हो रहा है, लेकिन हम डॉक्टर तक जाने की कोशिश नहीं करते. वो लापरवाही जो है उसे अवॉइड करें, सबसे मेन चीज़. एंड एक चीज़ मैं जो पर्सनल लेवल पे शेयर करना चाहूँगी, जो हमारे ऑडियंस हम लोगों के साथ हमें देख रहे हैं, कि पुराने टाइम की अगर हम बात करें, हम नेचर के बहुत पास रहते थे और उस टाइम पे मतलब हमारे जो सीनियर्स हमारे से मेरे साथ हैं, आपने देखा होगा कि पहले महिलाएं कार्तिक मास में स्नान करती थी और वो जो बात होता था वो सुबह सुबह अर्ली मॉर्निंग के टाइम में होता था और ठंडे पानी से होता था. इट्स वेरी इफेक्टिव ऑन आवर यूट्रस जेनिटल ऑर्गन्स, क्योंकि हॉट एंड कोल्ड फॉर्मेंटेशन हम लोग नेचुरोपैथी में भी देते हैं, गर्म ठंडा सेक हम लोग आयुर्वेदा में भी देते हैं, पंचकर्मा इज ऑल्सो यूजिंग दिस. और आज के टाइम में हम सबसे पहले गीजर का बटन ऑन करते हैं. तो आई थिंक सो फीमेल्स को कार्तिक मास में स्नान जरूर करना चाहिए. एंड इट्स वेरी इफेक्टिव ट्रीटमेंट फॉर फीमेल्स कि उनके जेनिटल ऑर्गन से रिलेटेड जितनी भी प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही हैं वो प्रॉब्लम्स काफ़ी हद तक इस बात से ही ठीक हो जाती हैं. तो ये सब चीज़ें यूज़ कर सकते हैं. इसके अलावा जो स्पॉटिंग आ रही है टाइम टू टाइम, जो ब्लीड हो रहा है कि पीरियड्स स्टॉप हो गए हैं, नॉर्मल ब्लीडिंग हुई, लेकिन उसके बाद भी आप 5 दिन के बाद या 15 दिन तक कंटिन्यू, उस सिनेरियो के अंदर यू कैन यूज़ 5 फ्लावर्स ऑफ आपका अनार के 5 फूल ले लीजिए, पेड़ पे आराम से इजीली मिल जाते हैं, मार्केट में सूखे भी मिलते हैं। उसकी आप चटनी बनाइए। कूजा मिश्री, जो कि धागे वाली मिश्री जिसको नॉर्मल हम लोग यूज़ करते हैं, वो कूजा मिश्री आप उसमें टेस्ट के अनुसार मिक्स कीजिए, थोड़ा सा पानी मिक्स करके वो पेस्ट जो बनेगा उसे आप इंटेक करना शुरू कीजिए, क्योंकि वो तासीर में ठंडा होता है, ब्लीडिंग को स्टॉप करने में बहुत अच्छा रिजल्ट देता है। तो वी कैन यूज दैट, इट्स अ नेचुरल ट्रीटमेंट।
And all that after she has screened herself for cervical cancer, right? And her HPV testing has been done.
Yeah. So don't disregard the testing, don't disregard the process, and then of course all medicines and all helps is good. But on that note, I mean, thank you for joining us on this show, and we'll see you again same time next week.
25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
2047 में कैसा होगा विकसित भारत का विकसित उत्तर प्रदेश? क्या आप चाहते हैं कि कृषि क्षेत्र में नवाचार और पशुधन की समृद्धि से बढ़े अन्नदाता की आमदनी, गांव-गांव तक पहुंचे चौड़ी सड़कें, हवाई यात्रा के लिए किसान की जेब में हो पैसे, विश्व स्तरीय शिक्षा और वर्ल्ड क्लास इलाज, बढ़े उद्योग, रोजगार, नौकरी और अपना व्यापार, रिन्यूएबल और ग्रीन एनर्जी हो यूपी में फुल, ताकि कभी न हो बत्ती गुल। डीप टेक, एआई और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक संसाधनों का बिछे जाल, सांस्कृतिक धरोहर का पुनर्जागरण और गौरव काल। क्या आप चाहते हैं ऐसा उत्तर प्रदेश? अगर हाँ, तो उठाइए मोबाइल, क्यूआर कोड को स्कैन करें और पोर्टल samarthuttarpradesh.up.gov.in पर लिखकर या बोलकर दर्ज कराएं सुझाव। आपके सुझाव से बनेगा विकसित यूपी का रोड मैप और मूल्यवान सुझाव देने वाले किए जाएंगे सम्मानित, क्योंकि आपकी राय विकसित यूपी बनाए।
on the rise, सुन ले आसमां, डबल इंजन का ये मिशन है महान। 2047 तक हम न रुकेंगे, 6 ट्रिलियन का ड्रीम पूरा करेंगे। मथुरा की गलियों में गूंजे है राधा, अयोध्या में दूर हुई मंदिर की बाधा, काशी प्रयागराज की गोल्डन चमक, यूपी सरकार की गूंजे धमक। सड़कों पर फर्राटा फिक्रलेस बिल्कुल बिंदास, एक्सप्रेस वे पर साइंस आए पूरा विश्वास। विकसित यूपी की बढ़ गई प्यास, 2047 का ये विजन बहुत खास। माफिया का दी एंड, फियर गॉन, योगी राज में लॉ एंड ऑर्डर हुआ स्ट्रॉन्ग। बेखौफ घूमे जनता, गुंडों पर मार, नया यूपी तोड़ रहा पुरानी दीवार। यूपी ऑन द राइज, सुन ले आसमां, डबल इंजन का ये मिशन है महान। 2047 तक हम न रुकेंगे, 6 ट्रिलियन का ड्रीम पूरा करेंगे।
25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ। पॉलिसी बाजार, 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
अब आया असली स्वाद।
अब आया स्वाद।
जब स्वाद के पड़े हो लाले तो MDH का चंकी चाट मसाला डालें। MDH का चंकी चाट मसाला।
MDH
25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ। पॉलिसी बाजार, 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च।
25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ। पॉलिसी बाजार, 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
लाल रंग इसका अपार, तीखा कम है फिर भी स्वाद। बेमिसाल बेमिसाल MDH कश्मीरी।
MDH कश्मीरी।
MDH
2047 में कैसा होगा विकसित भारत का विकसित उत्तर प्रदेश? क्या आप चाहते हैं कि कृषि क्षेत्र में नवाचार और पशुधन की समृद्धि से बढ़े अन्नदाता की आमदनी? गांव-गांव तक पहुंचे चौड़ी सड़कें, हवाई यात्रा के लिए किसान की जेब में हो पैसे, विश्व स्तरीय शिक्षा और वर्ल्ड क्लास इलाज, बढ़े उद्योग, रोजगार, नौकरी और अपना व्यापार, रिन्यूएबल और ग्रीन एनर्जी हो यूपी में फुल, ताकि कभी न हो बत्ती गुल। डीप टेक, AI और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक संसाधनों का बिछे जाल, सांस्कृतिक धरोहर का पुनर्जागरण और गौरव काल। क्या आप चाहते हैं ऐसा उत्तर प्रदेश? अगर हाँ तो उठाइए मोबाइल, QR कोड को स्कैन करें और पोर्टल samarthuttarpradesh.up.gov.in पर लिखकर या बोलकर दर्ज कराएं सुझाव। आपके सुझाव से बनेगा विकसित यूपी का रोड मैप और मूल्यवान सुझाव देने वाले किए जाएंगे सम्मानित, क्योंकि आपकी राय विकसित यूपी बनाए।
If April 2 was liberation, November 14 might be realization. Trump rolls back essential tariffs, makes $2,000 promise to every American as prices skyrocket across America.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Explain with me, Vineet Malhotra. Well, Liberation Day, that's what Donald Trump named April 2nd when he announced reciprocal tariffs on all countries. A minimum 10% tariff was announced on almost all US imports. Here's how he defended them.
I'll always have flexibility, but there will be very little flexibility once we start. April 2nd is going to be a very big day for the United States of America. The United States of America is going to take back a lot of what was stolen from it by other countries and by, frankly, incompetent U.S. leadership. Grossly incompetent. I gave you an example of Ireland. I would have never let that happen. Impossible for that to have happened. But we're going to take back our wealth, and we're going to take back a lot of the companies that left are coming back. If you haven't read, we have the biggest computer chip company ever, has virtually all of the market. I didn't call them, they called me. And they called for two reasons. Number one, we had a great election of somebody that they want running the country. We won in a big mandate. We won every swing state. We won by millions of votes. We won by 2,750 districts to 500. Think of that, 2,750 districts to 500. That's why the map, when you looked at it, was entirely red, meaning Republican.
And 227 days later, the story is quite different. The headlines on the 15th of November 2025 are dominated by Donald Trump's announcement rolling back tariffs on over 200 food items. Trump is now also accepting that his tariffs might have prompted some price increases. Donald Trump's tariff chart back in the day looked like this. With a wide smile on his face, Trump had listed down the new tariffs on countries. China getting the highest at 67%, followed by the European Union at 39%, then followed by Vietnam, Taiwan and Japan. India was listed too, with tariffs being doubled from previous 26% to 52%. Now the list is a bit different. It lists down the products on which tariff rates will drop. On the list, coffee replaces China, followed by cocoa, black tea, green tea, beef products, smoked meat, avocados, bananas, coconuts, guavas, limes, oranges, mangoes, spices like bay leaves, cardamom, nuts, grains, and, well, poppy seeds as well. But why has Donald Trump been forced to do this, and what has caused this change of heart, so to speak? Well, in the US, the average retail price of a pound of ground roast coffee climbed from $8.87 US in August 2025 to $9.14, which is $9.14 in September 2025, representing a 1-month increase of about 3.1%. Looking 6 months back, from $7.93 US in May 2025 to $9.14 in September 2025, coffee has risen approximately 15.3%. Once dubbed the fruit inflation forgot for the long history of stable prices, bananas got more expensive in September. Prices rose 0.4% last month, and according to new consumer price index data released by the US, that caps rather an unusually sharp 5.4% increase since April, when President Donald Trump imposed global tariffs. With virtually no production in the United States, the market in the United States is badly exposed to them. The beef prices have also been rising. Retail prices for beef mince have increased 12.9% in the 12 months to September. The list goes on and on though. Between January to September, meats, poultry, fish, eggs are all up at least 4.5%. Non-alcoholic beverages have shot up 2.8%. Cereals and bakery goods are up 1.4%. Fruits and vegetables as a whole are up 1.3%. Trump is worried because all of this plus the shutdown is heavily affecting the US consumer sentiment. As per the sentiment index by the University of Michigan, US consumer sentiment tumbled to near the lowest on record as the government shutdown weighed on the economic outlook, and high prices soared views about personal finances. The preliminary November sentiment index dropped to 3.3 points to 50.3, just above a June 2022 reading of 50 that was the weakest in the University of Michigan data back in 1978. The gauge was lower than all but one estimate in a Bloomberg survey of economists. But has this made Donald Trump believe in inflation? Let's listen in.
They say they may in some cases, but to a large extent they've been borne by the country. As an example, we have virtually no inflation, and yet we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars. So we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars. We've used tariffs to stop wars. When I pay people $2,000 each for low and moderate income and middle income people, everybody but the rich will get this. That's not made up, that's real money. That comes from other countries, yeah. It's a lot of money, but we've taken in a lot of money from tariffs. The tariffs allow us to give a dividend if we want to do that. Now we're going to do a dividend, and we're also going to be reducing debt. We have, because of Biden and others, we have $37 trillion in debt. So we're going to be doing a dividend, which people will enjoy and spend and do what they want. But we're also going to be reducing debt very substantially.
Well, and this was followed by a Trump-style $2,000 tariff dividend promise. His Truth Social post read, "We are taking in trillions of dollars and will soon begin paying down our enormous debt." 37 trillion. Record investment in the USA, plants and factories going up all over the place. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone. But is this possible? Well, Trump did not inform how the payments would happen. The Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent too could not explain how they plan on doing this. Mr. Bessent said the dividend could come in lots of forms and ways. He said that it could just be the tax decreases that have been on Trump's agenda. So the justification was no tax, no tips, no tax on Social Security. Substantial reductions and deductions would lead to substantial dividends, is what he meant. While through the end of October, the federal government collected about $144 billion in tariffs above the 2024 level, when tariffs were much less widespread. Tax policy specialists say that tariff revenue collection could increase to more than $200 billion a year if Trump's tariffs remain in place. But if the tax foundation calculated that $2,000 tariff dividend for each person earning under $100,000 would cover 150 million adult recipients and cost nearly $300 billion or more if children qualify. Well, that's well above the amount of money the tariffs have raised so far. Meanwhile, a new payout would have to be approved by Congress, and lawmakers have already declined to act on that idea once when they passed the One Big Beautiful Act. Trump's tariff powers would also have to pass muster the Supreme Court, which is hearing a challenge to them. And with US inflation data on the rise, no one can really say how long the US economy can sustain Trump's tariffs. So is this the beginning of the end of Donald Trump's most confrontational campaign? And what did the US gain out of it if these promised dividends are not made? We can only wait and watch, as we have already done.
If April 2 was liberation, November 14th might be realization. Trump rolls back essential tariffs, makes $2,000 promise to every American as prices skyrocket across America.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने, सब कुछ मजेदार बने। MDH
25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
MDH केसर का हो बहाना,
कश्मीरी पुलाव या हो बिरयानी खाना,
केसरी चाय दूध,
रसमलाई केसरी लड्डू, हलवा याद आना, यही तो है MDH केसर का बहाना।
MDH शुद्ध केसर, खुशबू ऐसी जो दिल जीत ले।
MDH
Alphala trustee. Jailed in 7.5 crore fraud. Ran a terror cell in Faridabad. Red Fort blast points towards him as agencies unravel the Delhi 1011 network.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Explain, brought to you by NewsX. You're watching me, Vineet Malhotra. On your screens now, you can see the Alphala University that has been in the spotlight ever since the white-collar terror mule was busted this week by the attack that took place in Delhi near Red Fort metro station. The focus became even more intense after the same module was linked to the Delhi Red Fort car blast. As we all know, the Red Fort blast had killed 13 people with several others sustaining injuries. And after a high-intensity blast in a white I-20, tore through vehicles at a busy intersection near the Lal Killa metro station. Alphala University is now firmly under the radar of investigating agencies as the Delhi blast prime suspect, Dr. Umar Nabi, and most of the terror module busted before that, and several other doctors are connected to the institution situated on Faridabad's Dhauj Road. Alphala, the management and the financial practices of Alphala University are being carefully scrutinized by our agencies. And according to Delhi police officials, the university's director, founder and managing trustee, 61-year-old Javed Ahmed Siddiqui, is linked to 9 other institutions and companies. He has long been associated with the Alphala Group. The 9 corporate firms that he is associated with are the Alphala Investment, which was the first company that was started in 1992. Another was Alphala Medical Research Foundation, at which Saeed, Shakil and other accused were employed, and where they met to plan a potential 32-car serial bomb terror strike. Alphala Developers Private Limited, Alphala Software Private Limited, Alphala Energies Private Limited and Tarbiya Education Foundation. These 9 firms span the education, software, financial services and energy sectors, and in the first potential red flag, most of them share the same registered address, a building in Delhi. Most of these firms were active till 2019, after which they were either shut down or became inoperative. The Alphala Medical Research Foundation, however, thrived when it began in 1997 as an engineering college and now operates on a 78-acre campus. However, it faces an inquiry by the NAAC. Incidentally, the Alphala building is also the office of the Alphala Charitable Trust. The trusts and the companies also include the name of Usma Akhtar, who was part of the governing body of Alphala Schools of Engineering. And according to her LinkedIn profile, she currently lives in the United Arab Emirates and is associated with several businesses there. Usma's name is also registered as director in companies like Alphala Education Service and MJH Developers. Alia Siddiqui's name is also on the list of trustees. The old criminal case that has resurfaced now was registered at Delhi's New Friends Colony police station. The complainant accused Siddiqui and others of floating fake investment schemes that encouraged people to deposit money in the Alphala group of companies. The allegation was that Siddiqui and his associates persuaded people to invest in deposits in an Alphala company and then forged documents to show these had been turned into shares. The gathered funds of Rs 7.5 crore were then diverted to the accused's personal accounts. Siddiqui and his brother Syed Ahmed were named in an FIR under section 420, which is cheating, 406 and 409, which is criminal breach of trust, 468, which is forgery for cheating, 471, which is fraudulent use of forged documents, and 120B, which is criminal conspiracy of the IPC. Siddiqui was arrested in 2001, and in March 2003, the Delhi High Court rejected his bail plea, pointing to forensic evidence that suggested signatures on the share certificates were forged. It wasn't until February 2004 that he eventually secured bail, but that was after agreeing to refund defrauded investors. As recently as January 2020, Delhi police raided the Okhla office. This was in connection with more complaints Siddiqui had defrauded investors, most of whom were from economically vulnerable Muslim households and were encouraged to invest in halal schemes. Siddiqui's vast corporate network, an old criminal case in which an associate and he were accused of fraud worth ₹7.5 crore and jailed for 3 years, are among the focal points of the parallel investigation. Meanwhile, the university's legal advisor, Mohammad Razi, denied all fraud charges and allegations against Siddiqui, including the ₹7.5 crore claim, and also stated that he had no information about the recruitment of Shakil. He stated that the hiring and vetting of new people is the Vice Chancellor's job. Javed Ahmed Siddiqui was born in Madhya Pradesh and graduated from Devi Ahilya Vishwavidyalaya in Indore. Reportedly, Siddiqui joined Al-Falah Investments as director on September 18, 1992. This investment firm is the first of the corporate entities related to the Al-Falah Charitable Trust that Siddiqui had joined. Additional SP of Indore, Rupesh Dwivedi, said Siddiqui and his family used to live in Kayast Mohalla in Mao, and his father Muhammad Hamid Siddiqui was the Seher Qazi of the Mao. Dwivedi stated that they are collecting information about his old contacts and relatives, and officials at Al-Falah University's Delhi office in Jamia Nagar stated on Wednesday that it has no institutional connection to the doctors involved in the old Delhi blast. The university's head office is located on the ground floor of a building within a residential complex. Set in a quiet corner of a gated colony, the premises belongs to the trust. Legal and finance officer Mohammad Razi said that the university was unaware of the doctors' activities beyond their professional duties. He stated, and I quote, "We have many meritorious students whose education should not be affected because of this." Responding to claims that explosive materials were prepared in the university's laboratories, Razi said it was not possible to make such substances there. He said the university has biochemistry, anatomy, pathology and physiology laboratories where such materials cannot be kept. He made a statement, and I quote, "We have children studying there. Why would someone want to set their own house on fire?" Earlier in the day, in its first reaction since the arrest of Muzammil on the 30th of October, Vice Chancellor Professor Bhupinder Kaur Anand expressed deep anguish over unfortunate developments and said that the university was fully cooperating with investigations. Anand's statement said, "We have learned that 2 of our doctors have been detained by investigating agencies. We wish to make it clear that the university has no connection with the said people apart from them working in their official capacities with the university." She stated, and I quote, "It condemned baseless and misleading stories being circulated online to malign its reputation and categorically denied claims of any prohibited chemical or material being used, stored or handled within its premises. All laboratory activities are carried out in strict adherence to established safety protocols, statutory norms and ethical standards mandated by the regulatory authorities." Well, this was the story of Javed Ahmed, the managing director of the Al-Falah University, which bred the terrorist group, part of the Red Fort blast.
The shady Al-Falah trustee, jailed in 7.5 crore fraud, ran a terror cell in Faridabad. Red Fort blast points towards him as agencies unravel the Delhi 10-11 network.
25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, the Bihar results are out, and what a verdict. I mean, even the exit polls had not predicted this kind of sweep, this kind of win, especially for Nitish Kumar, the BJP, of course. So, what does the verdict mean in terms of coalition politics, in terms of opposition politics? I think that really is our focus now, because where is the opposition going? What about the Congress? It's just decimated. Regional parties have overtaken it. What about Tejasvi Yadav? What about the India Alliance? These are the big ticket questions. And of course, what really happened? What swung the vote? To answer that, I have a panel of experts with me today on the show. I have Yashwant Deshmukh, founder and of Sea Voter and psephologist. I have Sandeep Ghosh, columnist and a political analyst. Anshu Lavajit, a very brave soul to join us today, national spokesperson for the Congress Party. And Dilip Cherian, brand guru, someone who knows what makes a brand. But today, Dilip, we're going to be talking about what breaks a brand, really. So I'll start with you, Yashwantji. What happened? Did you expect this, and what swung the ticket, especially for Nitish? What kind of a vote was it?
I mean, the honest answer is yes, I was expecting that. I mean, and that's not because what we were discussing about the female turnout and the connection of Nitish Kumar with female voters and other thing, but it was I mean, things which were like I was sensing like if without any emotional connect, a scheme for female can deliver something for Eknath Shinde, if something can be delivered for Hemant Soren, for something which can be delivered for even Shivraj Singh Chauhan, with emotional connect, there is no way it wouldn't have delivered for Nitish Kumar. Yes, there was few X factors out there. There was a sense of fatigue, no doubt, but we always mentioned that this is not a sense of anger. Sense of fatigue and sense of anger are two different things. There was immense respect for Nitish Kumar, and I always maintained that the moment you, even with the X factor of Prashant Kishore, the moment you take that name away and ask a bipolar question, then Nitish Kumar's lead over Tejasvi Yadav was very clear. It was only in the verbatim, top of the mind recall question that where Tejasvi was getting a lead over Nitish Kumar. So all in all, it came down to only one thing, that was on the female turnout. Whether or not the females are, and we did talk about this, that if females come out more, Nitish Kumar, if males come out more, it is going to be Tejasvi. And our poll yesterday, when we waited to the actual results, that's what the right scientific thing to do. You post poll data, you wait it to the actual result, and that is where your demographics of your file match the actual result of the election commission's data, and then you know who has voted where and whom. So among the males, and this I can share with you now, among the males, the lead was only about 2% for the NDA. So it was as tight as it can be. So I do not blame the reporters on the ground and others who generally end up talking to males and getting a kind of a feedback or an assessment that, oh, it's too tight to call, it's too close to call. I don't even blame the pollsters who might have ended up talking only to male voters more, that it is too tight to call and too. But among the females, hold your breath. The gap or the lead of NDA or Nitish Kumar over Tejasvi was 18%. 1-8.
My God.
18%. I don't think in my own almost 3 decades of professional life as a poster, I have seen that kind of a huge gender gap in terms of voting. And that is where, when we are looking at the data, I was like, it just cannot be one way. If the women with this kind of gap actually come out in equal number or surpass the turnout of the male, then it is going to be one-way traffic. And this is why I was mentioning 2010 all over again and again, that if it goes that way, it just cannot remain at the conventional side of the sweeps, that kind of thing. So honestly, I wasn't surprised. That didn't happen to me, at least. But I was surprised at the sheer audacity, I would say, of the female voters in Bihar, going, because 18% gap means they have gone against the wish of their families, or against the trend of their families, against where their traditional way of voting of their entire community is. And by the way, the deviation and the trend, Priya, is very much visible even among Yadav females and even among Muslim females. Yes, it is not up to that extent, but when you compare male and female Muslim, there is a clear-cut deviation. When you look at the male and female Yadav voters, there is a clear-cut deviation, and the extent of deviation is like almost 10 to 20%. And that tells you that Bihar women have finally smashed out, crashed out the age-old caste and these equations. And this is why I mentioned to you this is going to be a watershed election in that term if that happens. Because imagine if Bihari women can do that, every other state women in every other state, they will find it much easier to do that. So we are entering a phase now where Bihar has started this kind of cascading effect. I'm not discussing Das Hazari and the impact of that thing. I mean, that's another debate. I'm sure the others will weigh in as well. I'm purely looking at from the perspective of the arrival of the definitive female vote bank in India. Every politician and every political party worth the salt will have to now go back to their drawing board and think aloud that old equations are not going to work. This is a new vote bank where generational policy matters more than an instant dole out, you know, because as we discussed, the girl who got the bicycle 20 years back is a mother of two and a housemaker and an entrepreneur now. That kind of generational policy that impacts Mahila and Yuva both. So the politicians will be forced upon now to think on those lines. I hope they do. And second thing, imagine the transition we are going to look into next 5 years, and we are going to witness that. Number one, census, which will automatically give us the idea of the reducing gender gap and the larger, better female literacy. Number two, delimitation based on that census. Number three, 33% reservation kicking in for the women. Then we are talking about not just the larger female participation on the ground, but a female leadership coming in. And that is something which I actually wanted to talk today. I've learned from Dilip how prepared are these political apparatus to basically provide that 33% leadership. I won't call reservation, but how much groundwork have they actually done? I actually do not see anybody thinking on that ground as if सबने बोल दिया है कि हम करेंगे, किसी ने ये नहीं सोचा है अभी तक कि कैसे करेंगे. You know, how will you give the tickets? How will you provide that leadership, fill up the vacuum? I think still the political parties are in a patriarchal mindset. They are still in that time and line where they think कि सरपंच पति वाली line पे we will figure out the female members of the sitting MPs and MLAs. But the Bihari voters have voted, Priya. I do not think that India में अब सरपंच पति वाला concept ज़्यादा चलने वाला है. I refuse to believe that.
Wow, that's in fact that's a very insightful opening statement. But Dilip, what Ashwanji said that there is now a generational policy matters, but doles also matter. We saw which Shivraj Singh Chauhan he also mentioned. Immediately, 3 tranches already in. So when the women went to vote, they already had just on election eve. You announced these. Prashant Kishore has called them bribes, and I do tend to agree with him actually. And the problem is every political party will now do this.
I think that Yashwant's point is very powerful. And, the Bihar election, as he's saying, is only a very clear indication of the power that is being unleashed and how it is being unleashed. As he said, there is a generational item to it, and there is a completely, immediacy to the kind of dole distribution which happens. So, you are going to see the impact on politics of that. But what Bihar's big message to me is, I think, resilience, the ability to stay the course. Nitish, ill as he is or unwell as he may be rumored to be, has managed to survive the huge anti-incumbency, which always comes in. Yashwant is making a fine distinction, but I think that being able to surmount that is a big political imagery lesson, because he has not got his image tarnished over this period in any substantial way. There have been attacks, everybody goes at it, but he has been able to show resilience. And survival in Bihar is also going to be about resilience. Unless Tejasvi stays the course, I'm sure that there'll be a segment of this which is going to be devoted to the debacle of PK. But staying the course is also one more lesson for opposition parties and which emerges out of Bihar, that unless you may not strike anything in the first round, but if you want to be, if you work out the right combinations and you empower the right women, and you also look for the trends that are for the future, the future of census and the future of delimitation being only two of them. There are many such trends which are already in place, and the fact that they've emerged so strongly in Bihar is going to be a lesson for all parties. If one looks at the BJP, which emerged really strong, and one looks at what is happening in Delhi under a chief minister who seems to be more on the Sarpanch model than on a real women empowerment model. There are lessons for everybody, either side of the aisle. I'll stop here for now.
Thank you. Sandeep, Anshul, I'll come to you last because I'm sure Sandeep will have a comment for you to react to. Fate of the opposition party, Sandeep, where do you see the opposition going?
Yeah, I think, Priya, I'll definitely dwell on that. But I think Jaswant has kind of thrown all of us a little bit on a very, very philosophical and reflective mode. And so I think only the generational point he's making, I think, is something for all of us to take away. And I was reflecting on that, Priya, that if you talk about the generational thing, that's also something which is paying off for Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal. We'll see it because she has been giving this kind of dole to the, sometimes people very disparagingly talk about the maids and the house workers and all that. But, they then do feel, because they need that money, they are the people who ultimately run the household in these difficult times. When they get the money, I think that sense of, indebtedness, whether saying Didi or that comes in. Even the Mamaji image of Shivraj, you are looking at only the 3 tranches, but he has also been doing it on a generational basis. I think that makes a point. Some of us were saying that, today's youth voters, which they're talking, quote unquote, Gen Z has become fashionable. They don't have any memories of the Jungle Raj. The women have. Even if they were kids, they know what it was at that point in time. So some of them, so those are the connects which Nitish had. I think this is a very, very insightful, powerful message, which should not be lost on anybody, depending on whichever side of the aisle they're in. The rest of it is a black swan thing, and I don't want to get into it. If you look at the normal numbers, I have some explanation how Nitish's vote bank was preserved by the BJP. BJP helped in keeping that, also by the induction of LJP into the whole scene, so that the anti-incumbency thing didn't move across to RJD. So they really, BJP knew they needed Nitish. Nitish needed BJP's organization. I think they all worked as a machine, and that's the normal part of it. But when you come to the opposition, I am extremely, extremely worried. First of all, like all, I suppose, right-thinking people, we all feel that we do need an opposition in this country. It's not a healthy sign for a democracy in the state or anywhere else when you have an opposition which is decimated or which is hardly present. And whichever state you also look at it, you realize that West Bengal or anywhere else so we all need an opposition. And if today's opposition is unable to get its act together, then that's a matter of worry. And that's where I have, it's more than worry, because it seems the opposition, especially the so-called national opposition, they have reconciled to the fact that they can't win elections. And then since they can't win elections, they are, that's why they've abandoned, even in their setup, which we have discussed earlier, they're no longer talking of the leaders, no longer talking of grassroots workers, nobody. They think they can win the elections by some smart, maneuvers and moves at this. And so they are going that route of vote chori, or trying to look at the reaction. One would have expected some degree of humility from yesterday to today after losing this, or introspection or something. But from day one, you're starting to say, and you've unleashed the entire IT brigade. Sometimes with some stupid, statistics and analysis giving Tejaswi got so many lakhs of votes, BJP got so many lakhs of votes, so how come Tejaswi's number is lower than all kind of thing. They have just somebody sitting in Germany saying, so they are into that conspiracy mode because they have realized that we can't win elections in a normal way. So wreck the credibility of the system, try to wreck the institution, race, and they think that probably that kind of an uprising is indeed a possibility. And that's why this reference to Bangladesh, Nepal, everything is happening. And no, that's a very, very dangerous path we are going down on. And I think all right-thinking people should worry about that. I've got nothing against if this election had gone to opposition and they fought and the swing was there. But if it is not, and then this is the reaction, then
the issues to get. Yeah, let me quickly get Anshul in also, because we also have to take a break. Anshul, the opposition campaign, do you think in retrospect, the issues, especially the Congress raised, did not really gel on the ground?
No, Priya, I don't think that is the point. I mean, so we tend to think that sometimes issues which are raised in Bihar have a linear connection with the electoral outcomes. That's not how it works. I mean, Bihar works through filters of many things, including caste, which is an extremely strong one. Now, gender has been brought into the equation. That point needs to be discussed, because while I am astonished, and as we all want gender equity, and if it's entering and Bihar is leading the way, as Yashwant said, that's quite astonishing. I'll have to delve more into this. I'm not quite sure about it, but that has to be seen. I think, it's an enormous setback to the Congress party. We feel, I was devastated when I saw the result. I always knew it's going to be a really challenging result. I don't think issues matter as much. How can issues matter when there is economic doom in Bihar? I mean, nobody can say that I voted for the NDA because I'm so jobless and I'm so happy with my situation, because there's no industry, because the household savings are at the lowest, because I have to go to another state to work where I have to face gender discrimination possibly and typecasting and send a little money back home. I don't think these are the reasons why people vote for the NDA. There are different.
But yet they voted.
No, so I'll tell you why. I have many ideas about why they have voted for the NDA. I think there has been a Newtonian reaction to the 10,000, the 10,000 scheme. It's exactly action and reaction. And Bihar to me is very fickle. It's not a state that is consistent. It defies explanation. That's why pollsters always get it wrong. People who've been in power and have been in grassroots politics can't get it right. They don't know what the voter is thinking. Trust me, I've seen Bihar elections from the 1980s onwards. Every single Lok Sabha election, quite in the midst of it, fought one myself, and quite a few assembly elections. You just can't predict it. You don't know where it's going. Things change by the minute.
Okay.
So I think this is the reason why I have the sense of Nitish Kumar and women and providing cycles and all, but ultimately the girls are going to grow up. The cycle will move on to scooters and two-wheelers and higher education. The state of higher education is devastated in Bihar.
I'm going to come.
Yeah. So
sorry to cut you short, but I have to take a break, and we'll come back and discuss this more, but after a very quick break.
$25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है। इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ। पॉलिसी बाजार 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
Hello and welcome back to the roundtable. We are discussing the very astonishing Bihar result. And Yashwanji, before the break, you really gave us some good data on the women vote that really swung it. What the brands that didn't make it? Can we talk about Prashant Kishore? Can we also talk about Rahul Gandhi and the Congress?
Yeah, of course, we track Prashant Kishore's journey from 1-2% to almost 20% plus in the traction of the, as a brand. But we always question whether that will convert into votes and whether those votes will convert into seats. Because Bihar, you see, there was no anger against Nitish Kumar. So you create a brand to fill up a vacuum, but unfortunately, at this point of time, there was no vacuum as such. That's what my reading is. And also the fact that he attracted the youngsters, the migrant voters, and people who were forward looking on an agenda of change. Now, I also realized and I did report that 7 out of 10 of his supporters were coming from the basically NDA BJP, uh, side of line. And the moment I asked them, if not Prashant Kishore, who, they went back to Nitish Kumar's name. At no point of time they were looking for a change, but they were looking for a change. They were looking for an upgrade. They were not looking a change for a downgrade of sorts. For their perspective,
That's
I
very
need
interesting.
change, but the change has to be on the better side, not on the other side. That's what their mind was thinking like. And that is where, Priya, I thought that if this goes down to bipolarization like Uttar Pradesh, where a leader like Mayawati could not sustain that onslaught of bipolarization and she was wiped out, then they would stand no chance for Prashant Kishore. He stood a chance only and only if Nitish Kumar would have kind of gone completely out of race, saying that I am not contesting, and there would have been a vacuum next who kind of thing. Or he would have gone where Tejasvi would not have been that aggressive, where the fear of RJD coming back would not have counterpolarized those voters to go back and take a U-turn and go back to the NDA. So I think that's where, but I will always maintain that this probably is not his election. Probably, if he continues to stick around, next one might be his to make an impact like that, because he did create a buzz. He did create a narrative for everybody to talk about. So, and for somebody who doesn't have a caste base, as because he's caste agnostic as far as politics is concerned, for somebody who doesn't have a cinematic legacy of being from Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood, or somebody who doesn't have any andolan to as a fountainhead to come on, like a Jayaprakash Andolan or Anna Andolan. He came as a rank outsider with no such legacy, no such base, and is still able to create, using the new technology, using the youth, create a buzz and narrative, and that way forced all of us to take notice and start talking about it. That itself, I would say, is a great success. Now, he must have been heartbroken. Probably, yes. But if I was to advise him, I would tell Prashant, this probably is not your election, but please stick around. If you stick around, 5 years down the lane, you will have a say. You will have a place to go back to and say that, okay, I am around and I need your vote again. So sticking is very important. I hope he's not that heartbroken that he just leaves Bihar and goes some back to his whatever he was trying to do.
Prashant, having been advisor to many campaigns, probably understands that he has always gone for successful campaigns. But I think that he will have to stay the course. As I said, the only success in Bihar will come from persistence and being able to stay the course. The Nitish, the minor parties issue. We need to look at the rise and rise of Paswan, because he has really come through as the big and most relevant story in the Bihar elections this time. And the way he has managed to add to his father's legacy is something that other so-called heirs must take into account, because it is possible to do that along with the support of a very supportive BJP. In fact, if rumor has it, he got support from the very top, despite a lot of maneuvering to try and contain him, as it were. I think that has worked very well. So he's now no longer in the realm of a minor party. It is some other national parties which have achieved that distinction.
Yeah, in fact, I like
agree.
the.
I was just trying to add up to Dilip's point, Priya, that, I think what also worked for Chirag, that looking from a distance, I think he didn't fear from failure. Going all alone when his uncle, kind of stole his party and symbol, going with the new symbol, and then going that for that campaign 5 years back, where he actually went on and got about 4 or 5.5%, almost like 6% votes. And that
Yes.
is where votes are important and critical to understand that, okay, I got this much of my base, and this is where I will negotiate. And once he has that multiplier effect of being on the right side of the platform, or on that combination, that 5.5% was good enough for him to negotiate 29 seats and convert with the rest of the thing. So yeah, I mean, things to learn. I think Chirag played really well. I think he deserves kudos for that. Yeah.
Fair enough. In fact, do you see now, we keep saying post Nitish era, Sandeep, is Chirag, the battle is between Chirag and Tejasvi, but Chirag seems to be, miles ahead, at least after this election. Sandeep?
Yeah, I think Chirag not only stayed the course as far as the elections are concerned, he stayed the course with Modi. He
Important.
right in the beginning that, I am his whatever, not Hanuman or something, and he stayed the course with him, and that's why he got blessed. And a lot of the things were his rise and rise, if you were to explain in this election, was certainly with Modi's blessings. But you will find, therefore, this younger generation are the people who will start, who have to, self-made kind of people. Chirag no longer has his dad to support, and you find them making the. Priya, on being on a contrarian note, I don't give too much to this migrant voter theory. Because first of all, this migration takes few generations to happen, both going out and coming in. If you really change things, people will not leave the Gulf and come back to Kerala. So I give the example of Kerala with Malayalis who went out to work. They also face a lot of hostile situation in the Gulf, etc. But they're at home, they continued voting for the LDF or the UDF, which was also a very, very. So here in Bihar also, today the people who are going out to work, I'll take a minute, they don't see a great prospect coming back. Even if they're working as laborers or they work in a Tirupur factory, they know their earning is much more than what, even if the conditions change, what they could earn at home. I told in your program, I don't know, when I was living in Coimbatore, I would find plane loads of workers from there going back home on planes. I said, how do you afford a plane? He says, by going by train, I'll be spending 3 days, and the amount of money I earn here in 3 days, that more than pays for my airfare.
Okay, yeah. So that's a good, I'm cutting you short because we're totally out of time, and I do want Anshul to quickly come in on this Gen Next point of view. Also, the battle post Nitish, Tejasvi, Chirag, and perhaps Prashant Kishore, if, Yashwant thinks that there is another election in him for sure. That's what he advised him also in our last election show.
No, I mean, the Gen Next, Bihar, let me put it brutally, still Priya votes on caste lines. I'll be delighted to be proved wrong. If there are castes in different categories that have emerged, and many people, Yashwant is saying that women has emerged as that in different category, I'll be really happy. I'll be delighted. I'm not sure this has happened in my experience at all. In fact, this newer, I've spoken to many people in hostels. Patna University divided, the hostels are divided on caste lines. If anything, the Gen X is more caste identity conscious than previous generations. In fact, in my father's generation, the 60s, 70s, they were less so. So it's getting, identity politics is getting concretized. There is a positive to it, because then you can argue that marginal groups are getting more power. caste groups that were earlier neglected are getting more say, more voice, more recognition. But then you can also say that it concretizes the idea of identity, and then we're not heading towards a casteless society, which was our aim during independence. So I'm not sure about that. A quick word about PK, though. He's an interesting figure. He came on the back of huge amount of money, but a couple of things that he said were astonishing, and that led to his, I think, ultimate demise. I mean, he almost seems anti-politics when he says that, listen, if I win, 40% of my MLAs will, are easily tradable. They can go to any other side. He still sees politics as transactional and with a high degree of cynicism. That's not going to get him anywhere. The other thing was that he said that I've spent 3 years of my life, devoted to Bihar, and I better get that result. Almost Newtonian in a way of the 10,000. I mean, people have spent lives in Bihar without a result. And they still haven't got it. He wants to short circuit the process. This is not the way. I don't see anything. You can have huge money and you will get traction and propaganda. But I don't know, it's been disproportionate. The other thing, there's so much to discuss about.
Yeah, no, in fact, I will have to get you all back. I'm sorry we are out of time, but very good insights from all of you. Thank you so much for this show. Thanks.
Thank you.
$25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है। इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
$25 लाख का हॉस्पिटल बिल है। इतने पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे?
पैसों की चिंता आप मत कीजिए पापा।
मैम, सर का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है।
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार।
हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम में हमेशा आपके साथ पॉलिसी बाजार। 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 550 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
हींग देना। वो वाली MDH की सुपर हींग।
जिन्होंने यूज किया है वो जानते हैं असली हींग का स्वाद।
MDH सुपर हींग, शुद्धता का असली तड़का।
असली मसाले सच सच MDH
All right, breaking news coming in a high-stakes political huddle that's sending shockwaves through Bihar. A crucial BJP meeting is underway right now at the official residence of Union Home Minister Amit Shah. Sources say that the agenda is finalizing the names for Bihar's new ministerial lineup, including the all-important pick for Chief Minister and 2 Deputy Chief Ministers. Joining Shah at the table are some of the party's heavy hitters. BJP National President JP Nadda is there, strategizing alongside Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, Bihar's own Samrat Chaudhary, who is also a Union Minister, Lallan Singh, and BJP's National General Secretary Vinod Tawade. The powerhouse group is hashing out alliances and power sharing in the wake of the recent elections, with the NDA coalition eyeing a stable government amidst some serious speculation. Sanjay Sharma is going to be joining me momentarily, but this is those are visuals coming in from that meeting which is being chaired by Home Minister Amit Shah. The crucial decision of who's going to be the next Chief Minister of Bihar is also going to be discussed. Apart from that, the other supporters and partners in the NDA alliance are also going to be discussed. Who's going to get some pivotal roles in terms of portfolios, and of course, the coveted deputy CM charge is also going to be up for grabs. All right. Moving on, Faridabad, Nuh in Haryana, Pathankot in Punjab, and Uttar Dinajpur in Bengal. Doctors with links to both the Al Falah University and the Red Fort terror attack have been arrested from all these locations. The university in focus has now two more FIRs filed against it, and these are for forgery and cheating by the Delhi Police Special Branch. The trustee, Javed Siddiqui, has a murky past too, having served over 3 years in jail for defrauding people of 7.5 crore rupees. This university is now at the center of investigation, having trained the white-collar terrorists behind Delhi terror attack. The allegations themselves are so serious that the university cannot be allowed to function at all. We'll talk about this with our guests and try to understand what really happened and why was this university not aware, like they say, about all of these activities that were happening right under their noses. Major General Shashi Asthana, senior defense expert, with us on the program. He's former DG Infantry as well. Mr. Sanjay Sahai, former IPS, with us on the program. Dr. PSV Rao, consultant surgeon, Manipal Hospital, is with us on the broadcast as well. Pathikrit Pine, foreign affairs expert, also joins us on the show to talk about this. General Asthana, I'll begin with you. Well, it's perhaps the first time in my recollection that, a college, a university, which disposes of degrees such as engineering and doctorates in medicine, is at the center of a terror conspiracy. Obviously, a number of doctors who have been rounded up by the police have had connection with this university. There's also been an establishment of the fact that the person who ran this university has a dubious past, but it's all worrying when you put it all together, sir. It's a white-collar syndicate trying to, in fact, promulgate terror activities throughout the country. And secondly, it was happening in a place, for which you would never have guessed that something like this could happen over here. What kind of a Pandora's box does that open for our security apparatus, sir?
Certainly, it's a big worry, it's a big concern, because doctors community is one of the most trusted community which everybody in public life trusts them, as well as the universities are again one of those areas where perhaps the risk of getting detected is relatively low, because you would notice that as per our laws, even police to get into university and search into university requires the permission of Vice Chancellor. There is some law to that effect, that police cannot enter universities just like that. So we are now getting caught in some of the weaknesses which we were perhaps not aware of earlier. And conversely, the extremists, these terrorists, they are getting wiser to perhaps get into areas which can be less suspicious, which can be more effective, and these white-collar terrorists are even more dangerous for the reason because of, firstly, their immunity because of searches and because of their so-called noble profession, and more so their reach to certain sensitive technologies. Now imagine this case. We had one accident in Kashmir, and we found another round of explosion wherein we had some casualties. Now, like this, if this 3,000 kgs of explosive, had it been exploding at the places where they wanted it to explode, it would have been a massacre. But somehow, because of maybe perhaps some good initiative of our agencies, that this was caught, and this terror network is being now is being investigated and caught. So apparently we are getting these vehicles, and we are getting all these, shall I say, terror modules, because now vehicles have also become weapons. These terrorists, these doctors are terrorists anyway, and the all kinds of concessions which are generally given to a university, they are all under suspicion. Now, it also says a sad tale of our checking, the systems of checking, even in our normal life. A university employs a doctor who was actually dismissed in Kashmir because of terror network, connection with terror network. Nobody so far actually checked the accounts of Al Falah University. Accreditation was not there, but then nobody could check it. Even the students who were studying under them, when a first incident of this kind came up, that this doctor distributed the class into boys and girls, these boys and girls should have been alarmed that there is something like Taliban kind of style being implemented on us, and nobody spoke. So what is happening is that not only that the authorities have lapsed, the security and intelligence agencies certainly need have a lot to work on because of these lapses which are coming into place. But as citizens, we are also, I think it's a message to all the citizens of the country that when police says that you must investigate and get a proper police investigation before renting a house, then it must be done so. Same is the case with the selling of car. After all, when they collected all this kind of explosive, they must have collected in many bits, and so many shops would have been involved to collect smaller bits of ammonium nitrate to make it such a huge. So it's a plethora of, shall I say, weaknesses and lapses which we need to perhaps plug, and whatever is uncovered, I think everybody must be convicted. That is my biggest worry, because in past, one has seen that everything happens so long the iron is hot, and subsequently everything fades down and the lawyer community takes on, and all these guys get saved. Now that is the biggest worry. UAPA is a weak law. Same is the case with the laws related to universities. So I think we need to perhaps work a little more on that. We need.
Mr. Sahai, your take on this? UAPA is a weak law. There's a plethora of lapses and lacunas, which is perhaps going to become a case study, a prototype, if we can call it, Mr. Sahai, for the agencies to go by. Your thoughts?
We'll get into the agencies later, but first and foremost, what we are facing, I have been talking in lots of physical conferences, is that there is a complete regulatory crisis in this country. From NAC certification to variety of other certifications, also the background verification.
Can't use you, sir. There's a problem with your video, sir. I would request you to please log on to a better connection. We can't have you on national TV with that kind of a video. Pathakrit, the same question for you. What kind of a prototype of a case study is this likely to be, considering the fact that there are a number of novel nuances, Pathakrit, so to speak, involved here?
Vineet, the most important thing, look at the way the universities consider themselves more important than even embassies of this country. You can't enter a university, the police can't enter without the permission of the VC. And I have often witnessed where the police is considered almost as if, wherever especially the leftist students' unions are there, they look at the police as almost an enemy coming, not one of the law enforcement agency of the country. Why can't a police enter a university when it is necessary? Why is it that it is entirely at the discretion of the VC to decide? Secondly, when it comes to accreditation, UGC every year comes out with a list of universities which are fake. I think UGC thinks that is enough that UGC should do. But often we have seen that such institutes keep on running. The onus is only on the students to decide that no, I should not study there. So I think this mechanism has to change. There are too many areas where we have this Schedule 7 of something being under as a state subject and something being under a union list. that has crippled the organizations or agencies. That has crippled. So I think that has to change, because, and I primarily think, I have said the other day that UFPA has to be improved with a better law. But I think we need an internal security commission and an internal security act. Unless we have an internal security act, and everything which is concerning national security should be dealt as a national threat instead of putting everything as a law and order issue. That has to be done. Fourth, there are many such so-called minority institutions which gets funds from abroad. Who funds them? What is the purpose? What is being taught? Who comes in? Who goes out? Well, again, there are too many restrictions. If the police tries to be too proactive, then we are called a police state. As it is, we are called a fascist nowadays. That has to be considered. Last but not the least, the most important factor: when will in this country radicalization will be considered a crime? Somebody who radicalizes is arrested, convicted or accused only when an act of terror happens. But those who radicalize, majority of such people, those who radicalize, try to create orthodox conservatives, and out of that some become extremist in mindset. Out of those, some take the extreme step to become a terrorist. But when will we make it a law that you cannot spread hatred against those who do not believe in your religion, or who owe allegiance to another religion? That is happening, and unfortunately that is happening since independence, or even before that. So the regulatory aspect, as General Asthana mentioned, is a very critical aspect. For far too long, in too many areas, we have taken the concept of civil liberty to such extent, human rights to such extent, that it has become a farce, that it has become self-defeating for us. General Asthana mentioned, I'll just take 10 more seconds. General Asthana mentioned about segregation. But segregation is allowed in this country. If you want to say something, they will be saying that no, it's a minority institution. We will decide what is important for us. We have allowed these things in the name of freedom. So that's why what is right has to be right for all. What is wrong has to be wrong for all. Two important things, I repeat: an internal security commission and an internal security act. Law and order can be a state subject. National security is not a state subject. Organized crime, terrorism, any kind of extremist activity can't be dealt as a law and order issue.
Fair enough.
Unless we create that demarcation, we have a problem. Back to you.
Let me get Dr. Rao also into this conversation. Dr. Rao, are you worried, mortified that this is all being attached to a university which renders medical degrees and diplomas to students, and this is a place which is sacrosanct in nature, but it's been pulled into this kind of a storm because of clearly what has happened over here. There's clear evidence of doctors who have come out of this university and have direct links with the terror attacks that have happened in Delhi, and of course the seizure that has happened in Faridabad.
Good evening, Vineet, all panelists and the viewers. Yes, I am mortified. I am not just worried, I am really mortified. Our profession, if you take any global survey, doctors are considered the most trusted. Others, the next is teachers, scientists, and as far as the security forces are concerned, it differs from nation to nation. The judiciary, the police and the army, it differs from nation to nation. But as far as doctors are concerned, the medical profession is concerned, it is the most trusted profession anywhere in the world. And why? Because we are in a noble profession where we are saving lives. The last thing any security person will even think of is that a doctor who is supposed to save lives will be out doing terrorist activities. This brings, and as a surgeon, I have depended on the trust of patients. The patients trust me with their life when I am operating on them. Now, this kind of activity will bring a question mark on all of us. This is a huge problem. It will also put a question mark on the hospitals, the ambulance, and various other facilities which have a Red Cross mark on it, or a Green Cross, whatever. So this is a huge problem. And when I joined MBBS, at least my medical college conducted a 3-day psychological test to see if we were fit enough to join a profession which was basically a service oriented profession and not a business. But all that has changed. At least in other medical colleges, I don't find it. And like has already been discussed by the previous panelists, if you don't start checking as to what is going on behind university boards and educational institutions, it is going to be a huge problem. I would suggest that we start anyone, any teachers, students, etc. There should be an initial psychological check to see if they are really suited for the profession they are choosing, and the teachers are suitable for what they are supposed to do. Secondly, I think just like security cameras are proliferating, we should also have a proliferation of metal detection tests and explosive detector tests or sniffer dogs in all places, not just airports. The airports received high security after hijacking started. Now that they are hijacking our institutions and our trusted institutions, it's about time the checks are held. How can someone carry a can you carry a AK-47 into an airport? You can't. How can someone carry it into a hospital and put it into a locker? How can so much of explosives be collected by these doctors, so-called doctors? And why I am emphasizing on the psychological tests is that someone who has absolutely no empathy and no remorse is the only one who can do this double agent kind of work, where he is a terrorist on one side and he is a doctor on the other side. And I'm sure psychological tests should be able to figure out who are the people who have absolutely no brainwashed to an extent where they can't have any remorse or empathy. We doctors are the best doctors are those who have empathy for the patients, who have empathy and who are concerned about their life, not about people who can do senseless violence like this and kill innocent people whom they don't even know. They are just going out and exploding bombs and killing people they don't even know. So this is not revenge. This is not any of the usual crimes. This is worse. So I feel these measures should be taken, and there should be strict security at all teaching institutions, all hospitals, and everywhere else. And I remember I had written on this and spoken on this after the rape incidents in RG Kar. We need more security. We can't leave this. And formerly, criminals were trying to infiltrate into the forensic department so that they could alter the various forensic tests and also the autopsy reports. But now they seem to be infiltrating like the Naxalites did, who used ambulances to transport explosive. They seem to be infiltrating our profession itself. This is terrible. And we work on trust. Tomorrow, if there is no trust, there is no one who is going to let me operate on them. That is the end.
Absolutely,
yes,
absolutely right. Let's see if Mr. Sahai is back with us. Mr. Sahai, your opinion.